Greetings, lore masters. Tonight our chronicle covers the secrets lurking in the periphery, the formidable adversaries who don't have the courtesy to mark themselves on your map with a convenient little arrow. We are descending into the dark corners of Skyrim to hunt the 15 hidden bosses that require curiosity, luck, and perhaps a bit of madness to find. We aren't talking about the World Eaters or the vampire lords demanding your attention. We're talking about the ancient things sleeping in the ice, the ghosts in the mud, and the dragons who decided that the sky was simply too crowded. The air is cold where we are going, and the shadows are long. From the bioluminescent depths of Blackreach to the windswept peaks of Solstheim, these are the fights that truly test a Dragonborn's mettle. Let's be honest, you probably wouldn't survive a trip to these forgotten places without some serious enchanted gear and enough cheese wheels to feed a small army. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Go ahead and drop a comment telling me where you are in the world right now, and what time the clock reads. I love seeing the global map of our little guild. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The heavy bronze gates of Alfdun slam shut behind the adventurer, sealing out the biting wind of the Winterhold glaciers. The descent is long, a spiral into the earth's crust where the air grows stale and metallic, tasting of brass and steam. Hours turn into days as the Dragonborn fights through the mechanical spiders and the twisted farmer, pushing deeper than any surface dweller has a right to go. Finally, the attunement sphere locks into the pedestal, the floor shudders, and the stone gives way to a sight that defies all logic. Blackreach. It is a world within a world, a cavern so vast it possesses its own weather system, its humid air thick with glowing spores. Enormous mushrooms glowing with a teal luminescence tower like trees over a ruined city of brass. This is the heart of the Dwemer Empire, or what remains of it. A silent, echoing necropolis occupied now only by the blind, clicking horrors of the Falmer, and the slow, lumbering patrols of dwarven centurions who have forgotten their masters but remembered their orders. The Dragonborn steps onto the damp stone, the silence of the cavern pressing in against their ears. It's a heavy, oppressive quiet, broken only by the distant chime of crimson nirnroot, a sound that strikes fear into the heart of any completionist who remembers the agony of trying to find 30 of the wretched things without losing their mind. In the centre of this subterranean expanse lies the silent city. Stone towers rise toward the cavern roof, illuminated not by the sun or the moons, but by a massive artificial sphere hovering high above the debate hall. It is a geode-like orb, glowing with a fierce, burning orange light, an artificial sun created by a race that despised the gods and sought to build their own reality. Most adventurers walk beneath it, marvelling at the engineering, perhaps taking a screenshot or two, and then moving on to harvest soul gems from the clockwork machines nearby. They treat the orb as scenery, a lamp to light the way through the gloom. But the Dragonborn senses something ancient pulsating within that amber light. There is a distinct lack of instruction here. No courier runs up with a letter, no Jarl puts a bounty on a notice board. The discovery relies entirely on an intrusive thought. What would happen if I shouted at the sun? It is the kind of reckless curiosity that usually gets one killed in Skyrim, but the Dragonborn steps into the courtyard of the debate hall, looks up at the suspended bronze sphere, and inhales. Fus, Roda. The unrelenting force slams into the artificial sun. For a moment, nothing happens. The shout echoes off the cavern walls, fading into the dark. Then, the sphere resonates. A deep, gong-like vibration shudders through the floor, shaking the dust from the giant mushrooms. The light of the orb flares, and then the unthinkable happens. The orb doesn't crack, it doesn't fall. Instead, something breaks out of the shadows surrounding it. With a roar that shakes the stalactites loose from the ceiling, a dragon descends. This is Vulthuryol. He's ancient, his scales a dull metallic bronze that matches the Dwemer pipe snaking through the cavern. He crashes onto the stone thoroughfare of the silent city, scattering the Falmer who scuttle away in terror. Vulthuryol is not like the dragons encountered on the mountain peaks. He does not soar in wide, majestic circles, because there is no sky here, only rock. He is a creature of the deep, a prisoner of the dark. The fight is claustrophobic. The Dragonborn draws their weapon, the glow of the artificial sun casting long dancing shadows as the dragon unleashes his breath. Unlike the frost or fire usually encountered, Vulthuryol's very presence feels heavy, suppressed. He is level 50, a formidable opponent for the unprepared, yet he fights with a grounded desperation. He stays low, snapping and biting, his wings beating against the heavy, humid air of the cavern. There is a fascinating piece of linguistic lore hidden in his name, for those who speak the dragon tongue. In the language of the Dover, Vulthuryol translates to Dark Overlord Fire. It is a title that suggests he was once a tyrant of the shadows, a ruler of the deep places. But looking at him now, thrashing amongst the ruins of a dead civilization, one has to wonder if he is a king or a captive. This brings us to one of the most enduring debates in the fan community. Why is a dragon hiding in a Dwemer city? The Dwemer were not known for their hospitality, nor were they fond of magic or the divine creations of Akatosh. They were logical, ruthless engineers. The prevailing theory suggests that Vulthuryol didn't wander in here by accident. He was likely captured. The Dwemer, in their pursuit of tonal architecture and energy manipulation, may have bound the dragon beneath their capital to study him, or perhaps even to use him as a biological battery for the artificial sun itself. It's a gruesome thought. A proud, immortal child of time, chained in the dark to power the lights for a race of atheistic elves. Another perspective is that Vulthuryol fled underground during the Dragon War to escape Alduin's wrath, or the blades of the ancient tongues, choosing eternal darkness over death. If that's the case, waking him up with a shout to the face is a rude awakening indeed, a bit like someone coming into your bedroom after a 1,000-year nap and setting off an air horn. The battle rages on the stone walkways. Vulthuryol's fire breath illuminates the jagged features of the silent city, casting the statues of Dwemer lords in sharp relief. He is sluggish, perhaps atrophied from centuries of inactivity, but his hide is tough. The Dragonborn must weave between the bronze pillars, striking at the dragon's flanks, whittling down the health of this hidden relic. When the final blow lands, Vulthuryol collapses with a shuddering gasp. His soul is absorbed, the familiar swirl of energy flowing into the Dragonborn, unlocking the wisdom of the ancients. But unlike the surface battles, where the guards might cheer or a companion might make a quip about dragon stakes, here there is only the return of silence. The artificial sun continues to glow, indifferent to the death of its guardian, the Falmachita in the distance, waiting to reclaim their territory. Leaving the corpse of the bronze dragon behind, the Dragonborn feels the weight of Blackreach anew. It is a tomb, not just for the Dwemer, but for everything that gets lost in the dark. But there is no time to linger on the philosophy of the deep. The inventory is checked, potions are restocked, and the map is consulted. We must leave the humidity of the mushrooms for a climate far colder and far more hostile. We travel north now, leaving the mainland of Skyrim entirely. A boat ride from Windhelm takes us through the grey, choppy waters of the Sea of Ghosts, until the ash-covered shores of Solstheim come into view. This island is a harsh blend of Morrowind's alien landscape and Skyrim's frozen tundra, a place where the very earth feels hostile. We are heading for the northern glaciers, to a specific unmarked location, the Glacial Cave. Most travellers walk right past it. The entrance is buried in the snow, indistinguishable from 100 other ice fissures, but inside the cave opens up into a small icy courtyard that feels curiously ceremonial. At the back of the cave stands a throne carved from pure ice, huge and imposing, and sitting upon the throne is a skull. This isn't just any skull. It is massive, distinctively non-human, belonging to a frost giant of immense proportions. But the skull alone does not start the fight. The Dragonborn must first have engaged in a bit of grave robbing, specifically locating the skull of Karstaag in the Castle Karstaag caverns and carrying the heavy bone fragment across the island to this throne room. It's a pilgrimage of restoration, bringing the king back to his seat of power. Placing the skull onto the skeleton draped over the throne triggers a shift in the air. The temperature, already freezing, plummets to a level that burns the lungs. A spectral wind begins to howl inside the cavern, swirling with blue magic, and from the ether, the ghost of the king manifests. This is Karstaag. Veterans of the Blood Moon prophecy, those greybeards among us who walked the lands of Solstheim in the Third Era, will remember him well. He was a frost giant of such power that he ruled the Reeklings and terrified the locals. He met his end years ago, yet his spirit refuses to fade. He towers over the Dragonborn, a massive spectral blue giant wreathed in a permanent blizzard. The moment he fully materializes, the Dragonborn realizes that this was a mistake. Karstaag is widely considered one of, if not the, hardest bosses in the entirety of Skyrim. He has no quest marker, no build-up, just a sudden, brutal reality check. He hits like a runaway freight train loaded with anvils. His stomp attack sends the Dragonborn flying across the cavern, ragdolling into the ice walls with a sickening crunch. He summons ice wraiths to harry the player, adding chaos to the confined arena. But the most terrifying aspect of Karstaag is his passive aura. A constant blizzard surrounds him, dealing frost damage every single second and draining stamina, making it nearly impossible to sprint or power attack consistently. It's a fight that demands preparation. Potions of resist frost are not a suggestion here, they are a requirement for survival. The Dragonborn finds themselves scrambling, chugging potions, dodging massive fists that can deplete a health bar in 2 hits. There is a delightful piece of continuity here that connects Skyrim to its predecessor, Morrowind. In the Blood Moon expansion of the Elder Scrolls III, the Nerevarine, the hero of that game, actually fought and killed the living Karstaag. Finding his ghost here in the 4th era is a direct callback to that legendary battle. The skull we place on the throne is the physical remains of a creature we might have slain ourselves in a past life gaming-wise. It's a grim reunion. The community often debates the ethics of this summon. By placing his skull on the throne, are we honouring a king, or are we disturbing a spirit that had finally found rest? The violence of his reaction suggests the latter. Karstaag does not seem grateful to be back. He seems furious. His attacks are wild, filled with the rage of a monarch who has no subjects left to rule, only a dusty cave, and a usurper standing before him. The clash is frantic. The Dragonborn uses every shout in their arsenal, marking him for death, slowing time, becoming ethereal to avoid the crushing blows. The ice of the cave cracks and splinters under the giant's rampage. Finally, as the last sliver of his massive health pool vanishes, Karstaag roars one final time and dissolves into mist. He leaves behind no legendary sword or unique armor set. Instead, he grants a power, the ability to summon him. But true to his elusive nature, this power is limited. He can be called upon to fight for the Dragonborn only 3 times. Ever. After that, he is gone forever. It leads to the classic gamer dilemma, the too awesome to use syndrome. Players earn the right to summon the most powerful ghost in the game, only to never use him because they are saving him for a tough fight, eventually finishing the game with all 3 charges intact. As the spectral blizzard fades and the silence of the glacial cave returns, the Dragonborn stands shivering, bruised but victorious. The Ghost King has been put to rest, again. We step back out into the Solstheim snow, the wind feeling almost warm compared to the chill of the grave we just left. But our business with the dead is far from over. We must leave the mortal plane entirely now. A portal awaits, leading to a realm of violet skies and cracked earth, a purgatory where souls are traded like currency. We are going to the Soul Cairn. The air in the Soul Cairn tastes like ash and regret. It is a plane of oblivion where the sky is a permanent bruised purple, torn by lightning that never thunders. The ground is dry, cracked earth, littered with the bones of ancient beasts and the crumbling masonry of structures that defy architectural sanity. Here, the ideal masters rule, mysterious entities who hoard souls in crystals, feeding on their essence for eternity. We aren't here for the main tour, though. We're not here to bargain with Serana's mother or hunt down an Elder Scroll. We are here for the executioner. Deep in this desolate landscape, hidden away from the main path, lies a structure known as the Reaper's Lair. It's an ominous, mausoleum-like building that radiates a sense of dread even in a place literally made of it. But the door doesn't just open for anyone. To invite the master of the house to play, the Dragonborn must first engage in a scavenger hunt of the macabre. Scattered across the vast, empty expanse of the cairn, beneath the massive floating crystals that drain your health if you linger too long, are 3 Reaper gem fragments. Finding them is a chore. The Soul Cairn is notorious for its lack of landmarks. Everything looks like the same grey pile of rubble. You wander through the fog, fighting off bonemen and wrathmen, skeletal warriors trapped in eternal servitude until you locate the chest containing a fragment. It feels less like an adventure and more like a grim necessity, a tax you pay to unlock the next nightmare. Once all 3 fragments are in hand, the Dragonborn returns to the Reaper's lair. Inside, the darkness is absolute, broken only by the eerie glow of the pedestal in the centre of the room. Placing the fragments into the receptacle is like slotting a key into a doomsday device. The room trembles. The shadows in the corners coalesce, thickening into a solid form. The Reaper emerges. He is a terrifying figure, a towering executioner draped in hooded black robes, wielding a battle axe that looks heavy enough to cleave a mammoth in 2. His eyes glow with a malevolent green light, piercing the gloom. But look closer, and you'll see something unsettling. Beneath the robes, the Reaper shares the character model of a giant boneman, but scaled up and darkened. He isn't just a guardian. He is a condensation of the Cairn's malice. The fight is chaotic. The Reaper doesn't fight alone. He summons bonemen minions from the floor, flooding the small arena with skeletons. He spews a vile green slime, a unique poison attack that saps health rapidly. The Dragonborn is forced to kite around the pillars, dodging the slime and the sweeping arcs of the Reaper's axe, all while hacking away at the skeletal reinforcements. There is a fascinating piece of obscure lore tied to this entity. The Reaper is never explained. There are no journals, no backstory provided by Valerica or Serana. He simply is. However, some deep lore enthusiasts speculate that the Reaper might be a manifestation of the Ideal Master's will, a localized antibody designed to purge powerful souls that might threaten the stability of the Cairn. Others suggest he is a fallen hero from a previous era, perhaps a Nord executioner whose soul was trapped and twisted into this mockery of his former profession. The lack of explanation makes him more frightening. He is a function of the realm, as inevitable as death itself. The battle ends with the Reaper crumbling into a pile of oversized bones. Looting his remains yields Daedra hearts and black soul gems, fitting treasures for a creature of such dark origins. But the victory feels hollow. The Soul Cairn doesn't care that you killed its executioner. The lightning still crackles silently overhead. The souls still wander in aimless misery. You haven't saved anyone. You've just survived the jailer. Leaving the oppression of the Soul Cairn, we return to Nirn, gasping for fresh air. We find ourselves back in the College of Winterhold, the centre of magical learning in Skyrim. But we aren't heading to the library to read up on restoration spells. We are heading down into the midden. The midden is the dark underbelly of the college, a damp, icy dungeon where failed experiments are discarded and students whisper about things that shouldn't be. In the midden dark, there is a peculiar gauntlet. It stands upright on a pedestal, a Daedric relic made of dark metal, with the symbol of oblivion etched into the palm. It looks like it's waiting for a handshake. Nearby, on a table, lies the investigator's key and a report detailing the death of several students. It's a classic magical cautionary tale. Students found the gauntlet, tried to bind a Daedra, and ended up missing some vital organs. To summon the owner of the gauntlet, the Dragonborn must find 4 rings hidden in a chest in the Arcaneum. Rings with names like Pithican, Balwen, Trioi, and Katarina. Placing the rings on the gauntlet's fingers in the correct order causes the fingers to curl inward, gripping the air. The room fills with the smell of sulphur and ozone. With a flash of crimson light, a Dremora appears. This is Velek Sane. He isn't a mindless beast. He is articulate, arrogant, and surprisingly well dressed for a demon. Velek Sane is a Dremora pirate, a captain of the Abitian Sea who terrorized the coastlines centuries ago. He doesn't attack immediately. Instead, he speaks. He bargains. He reveals that he was bound here by the students, and he offers a deal. Release him, and he will grant you his treasure. Here is where the lore gets interesting. Velek Sane appears in the in-game book, Pirate King of the Abyssian, which describes his legendary raids. He is a figure of folklore, a boogeyman for sailors. Encountering him in the flesh, or rather the chaotic vestige, confirms the stories are true. The player has a choice. You can fight him, of course. He is a powerful Dremora, mage, wielding heavy armor and high-level destruction spells. Slaying him feels righteous. You're banishing a demon back to oblivion. But if you kill him, you get a Daedra heart, maybe a scimitar. However, if you accept his deal and release him, he gives you a map to his buried treasure. He vanishes with a laugh, presumably to return to his ship and terrorize the seas once more. Following his map leads to a hidden chest on a small island near Winterhold, filled with gold and high-level loot. The community debate here is purely ethical. Do you take the gold and let a literal demon pirate loose on the world? Is the safety of future sailors worth a pile of septicems? Velexain represents the chaotic, neutral nature of the Daedra. He isn't necessarily trying to destroy the world, he just wants to plunder it. He's charming, in a psychopathic sort of way. Most players, let's be honest, take the gold. Morality doesn't buy spell tomes. Whether you banish him or release him, the midden falls silent once more. We leave the damp stone of the college and travel west toward Dawnstar. The air is crisp, filled with the scent of pine and snow. But underneath the snowy exterior of the pale city lies a sanctuary of blood. The Dark Brotherhood Sanctuary near Dawnstar is a place of shadows and whispers. It is the final refuge for the Assassin's Guild in Skyrim. During the restoration of this sanctuary, after the chaotic events of the Brotherhood questline, the Dragonborn can purchase upgrades from Delvin Mallory. One of these upgrades clears out the debris blocking a hidden passage. Walking through the newly opened tunnel, the air grows thick and musky. It smells of wet fur and old blood. The tunnel opens into a natural ice cavern, a raw wound in the earth beneath the sanctuary. And there, waiting in the dark, is a creature that should not exist in Skyrim, the Udafrictor. It is a massive troll-like beast, but distinct from the frost trolls of the surface. It has glowing yellow eyes and a hide matted with gore. It roars, a sound that is half scream, half growl, and charges. The Udafrictor is a legacy boss, a thread connecting 3 games. In Morrowind's Blood Moon expansion, the Nerevarine fought the Udafrictor on Solstheim. In Oblivion, the champion of Cyrodiil fought the Udafrictor matron, a horror that terrorized the invisible village of Alswell. Now, in Skyrim, we find the offspring, or perhaps another kin, hiding beneath the assassin's home. The fight is brutal and fast. The Udafrictor hits harder than a standard troll and regenerates health rapidly. In the confined space of the ice cave, there is little room to maneuver. Fire is your best friend here. The beast hates it. The flickering light of flame spells dances against the ice walls as the Dragonborn battles this primal remnant of the past. It's a strange juxtaposition. Upstairs, the Dark Brotherhood plots political assassinations and sophisticated murders. Downstairs, a primitive monster chews on bones. It suggests that the sanctuary was built on top of something older and wilder, that the civilized murder of the Brotherhood is just a veneer over the raw, animalistic violence of nature. When the beast falls, looting the body reveals a curious item, a distinct lack of anything useful usually, but the encounter itself is the reward for the lore hunter. It's a nod from Bethesda to the longtime fans, a reminder that the monsters of the past are never truly gone, they're just waiting in the basement. We step away from the corpse of the Udafrictor, wiping the troll fat from our blades. The sanctuary is quiet. We head back to the surface, leaving the darkness of the Brotherhood behind. We need open sky again, but not the sky of Skyrim. We need to go somewhere forgotten, a place lost to time and snow. We are going to the Forgotten Vale, this hidden valley, accessed through the Darkfall Cave during the Dawnguard DLC, is a breathtaking expanse of frozen waterfalls and untouched wilderness. It is the last refuge of the Snow Elves, a place of tragic beauty. But beneath the ice of its vast frozen lake, something is waking up. Walking onto the frozen surface of the lake, the ice cracks. It's a sound that usually signals a cold bath, but here it signals an ambush. The ice explodes upward, shards flying like shrapnel. 2 shapes burst from the water, shaking off the freezing droplets. Dragons, twins, Naslarum and Voslarum. They are unique among dragons because they hide under the water. Most dragons perch on word walls or circle mountain peaks. These 2 have adapted to their environment, becoming ambush predators of the ice. They are revered reverently by the farmer, or perhaps feared. Their names, when translated, mean nothing specifically standard, but their synchronized attack is poetry in motion. They dive in and out of the holes in the ice, making them difficult to target. You are fighting on a slippery surface, exposed, with two dragons shouting frost breath at you from opposite directions. It is a chaotic, disorienting battle. You have to keep your head on a swivel, tracking the splashes, waiting for them to breach like deadly whales. Why are they here? They guard a word wall, of course, but more importantly they guard the sanctum of the snow elves. They are the watchdogs of a dead civilization, lurking in the cold water for thousands of years. Defeating them feels like breaking the last line of defense for a forgotten people. As their souls are absorbed and their skeletons sink back into the icy water, the silence of the Vale returns. But the Vale has more guardians than just dragons. High on the cliffs, watching, are the giants. But not the giants you know. These are the paragons. The air in the Forgotten Vale is thinner than anywhere else in Skyrim. It's a pristine, untouched cold that burns the sinuses, a stark contrast to the smoggy gloom of the Cairn, or the humid decay of Blackreach. Here, amidst the frozen waterfalls and the blinding white peaks, the snow elves built their last sanctuary. But while the elves are gone, twisted into the betrayed or reduced to a single, lonely curate, their heavy lifters remain. We are hunting the frost giant paragons. These are not the standard giants you see herding mammoths on the plains of Whiterun, launching unfortunate farmers into the stratosphere with a single club swing. These are ancient primal variations, untouched by the regression that befell their mainland cousins. They are massive, hairy and solitary, guarding the high passes and hidden alcoves of the Vale like silent sentinels. There are 5 of them in total, scattered across the map in places you really have to go out of your way to find. They don't just carry gold or giant's toes, they carry keys. Specifically, they carry paragons, heavy gem-like eggs made of amethyst, diamond, emerald, ruby and sapphire. The hunt for the paragons is a test of exploration. You have to skirt the edges of the frozen river, climb ledges that look unclimbable, and venture into the darkest corners of the Vale. The first one, the amethyst paragon holder, lumbers along the riverbank near the shrines. He spots you from a mile away, his roar echoing off the canyon walls. The fight is the classic giant dance. Dodge the slam, strike the ankles, pray you don't get stomped. But these giants feel tougher, possessing a larger health pool and hitting with the force of an avalanche. Why are they carrying these gems? The lore is sparse, but the environmental storytelling is rich. The snow elves were masters of teleportation magic, using way shrines to traverse vast distances instantly. It stands to reason that the paragons are keys to a private network of portals, a VIP transit system for the high priests and prelates of the Chantry. The giants, perhaps once servants or pets of the snow elves, have instinctively hoarded these shiny objects, or perhaps they were tasked with guarding them even after their masters fell. Once you have defeated all 5 giants and collected their respective paragons, you must find the paragon platform. It's a stone archway hidden near the glacial crevice, easy to miss if you aren't looking for it. Inserting a paragon into the socket activates a portal. Each gem leads to a different secluded area of the Vale, small treasure vaults filled with rare loot, spell tomes, and immense wealth. It's a rewarding loop. Kill the boss, get the key, loot the room. It feels like a heist, stealing the retirement funds of a dead civilization. The debate among fans here often centres on the nature of the frost giants themselves. Are they native to the Vale, or were they brought here? Their physiology is distinct from the mainland giants, more fur, sharper features. Some theories suggest they are the original stock, the pure giants, while the ones in Skyrim are a divergent, perhaps degenerated subspecies. Standing over the massive corpse of the diamond paragon holder, looking at the intricate gem in your hand, you can't help but respect the raw power of these wardens. They defended their post for thousands of years, long after anyone cared to pass through their gates. Leaving the crystalline beauty of the Forgotten Vale, we return to the ash-choked island of Solstheim. The wind here carries the smell of sulphur and burnt wood. We travel to the northern coast, where the ash meets the snow, to a barrow that hums with a strange dissonant energy, White Ridge Barrow. From the outside it looks like any other Nordic tomb, grey stone, heavy doors, ominous silence. But inside something is wrong. The spiders here are not the typical frostbites. They are pale, glowing, pulsating with unstable magic. These are the albino spiders, mutated by years of exposure to strange experiments. As we delve deeper, Fighting through waves of jumping, exploding arachnids, we find the source of the corruption. In the deepest chamber, standing before a massive word wall, is a dragon priest unlike any other. He floats in a cloud of freezing mist, his mask a jagged visage of metal. This is Dukaan. While most dragon priests favour fire or lightning, Dukaan is a master of the frost. But not just the frost of Skyrim, the deep penetrating cold of the north. He is level 60, a powerhouse of elemental destruction. His attacks don't just damage health, they drain stamina, slowing the dragonborn to a crawl. He summons seekers from Apocrypha, tentacles of ink and knowledge flailing in the air, adding to the chaos. The fight is a frantic dance of dodging ice spikes and tentacle slaps. Dukaan floats effortlessly, teleporting across the room whenever you get too close. He wears a unique mask that bears his name, which grants the wearer resistance to frost and increases frost damage output. It's a prize worth fighting for, especially for battle mages who favour the chill. Dukaan's presence here implies a connection to the elemental chaos of Solstheim. He isn't guarding a dragon, he seems to be guarding the spiders, or perhaps using them. Near his chamber, there is an imbuing chamber, a magical crafting station that allows you to create your own exploding spider scrolls. It suggests that Dukaan was a researcher, a priest who dabbled in biology and alteration magic, twisting the local fauna into weapons of war. He is the mad scientist of the dragon cult, frozen in his own laboratory. Defeating him is satisfying. The mask drops, the soul is absorbed, and the barrow grows quiet. But Solstheim has more secrets buried in the ash. We head south now, to a dig site that has been plaguing our courier for weeks, Colbion Barrow. This isn't a dungeon you simply walk into. It's a dungeon you have to pay for. An eccentric dark elf named Rallis Sidaris is camped outside, convinced that treasure lies beneath the ash. He needs gold to hire miners. You pay him. You wait. A courier arrives. Disaster at the dig site. You return to find the miners dead, slaughtered by Draugr. You clear the Draugr. Rallis asks for more money. This cycle repeats 4 times. It is a slow, expensive descent into madness. Rallis's journals become increasingly unhinged. He speaks of a voice calling to him, whispering secrets. The miners talk of bad omens. The gold cost racks up to 11,000 septims, a fortune for the average adventurer. But finally, the excavation hits the bottom. The source of the whispers is revealed. Azidal. He is the first human to master the elven arts of enchanting, a genius from the Merethic era whose hunger for knowledge led him down a dark path. Azidal was not just a priest. He was a revolutionary. He learned from the elves, then turned their own magic against them in the Night of Tears. He sought out the dragon priest not for worship, but for power. His name means the embittered destroyer, a fitting title for a man consumed by vengeance and ambition. When he finally bursts from his sarcophagus, he is terrifying. He is a master of fire. The entire chamber erupts in flames. He casts a unique spell, Azidal's Blow, which launches the dragonborn backward. He resurrects the corpses of the dead miners to fight for him, a cruel twisting of the very people you paid to dig him up. The fight is personal. You spent weeks and a small fortune uncovering this monster. Rallis stands in the corner, cowering or chanting, his mind completely broken by the priest's influence. Azidal floats in the centre of a fiery inferno, raining destruction. He is arguably the most powerful dragon priest in the game, a testament to the fact that knowledge is power, and power corrupts. Upon his defeat, you can claim his armour set, the Relics of Azidal. Each piece has a unique enchantment, and wearing the full set grants the ability to walk on water. It's a biblical level of power for a price paid in blood and gold. But the real question remains, what do you do with Rallis, the man who led all those miners to their deaths? He claims he was possessed, a puppet. Do you execute him for his weakness, or spare him for his utility as a follower? Most players, looking at the pile of bodies, find their mercy in short supply. We leave the smoking ruins of Colbion Barrow, the ash crunching under our boots. We aren't done with Dragon Priests yet. There is one more hiding in Raven Rock, right under the noses of the villagers. The Raven Rock mine is an abandoned ebony mine, shut down years ago. But the villagers whisper of something deeper. The Dragonborn is asked to investigate. Breaking through a boarded-up wall, we descend into the Bloodscale Barrow. The path is littered with Draugr, but the architecture is strange. It's a mix of Nordic tomb and something else. We find the Bloodscale Blade, a magnificent two-handed sword that shoots waves of red energy. We use it to solve a puzzle, slicing open a massive stone door. Beyond it lies a watery chamber, black water lapping against stone walkways. Floating above the dark pool is the keeper of the secrets, Zakrisos. His name means sword-blood mortal. He is a mirror to Dukaan, but where Dukaan mastered frost, Zakrisos commands lightning. He hovers over the water, which makes him incredibly dangerous. If you're standing in the water when he casts a lightning spell, the electricity conducts, frying you instantly. You must stick to the narrow stone bridges, dodging the bolts of blue energy that crackle through the damp air. He wears a mask that boosts shock damage and resistance. He is the guardian of the Black Book, The Winds of Change, a tome of forbidden knowledge from Hermaeus Mora's realm. The implication is that Zakrisos was guarding the gate between Solstheim and Apocrypha, a warden of the boundary between the world of men and the world of tentacled horrors. The fight is tactical. You cannot rush him. You must use range or time your sprints across the bridges perfectly. The sound of thunder fills the cavern, deafening in the enclosed space. When he finally falls, his mask sinks into the water, and you have to dive in to retrieve it. A final indignity from the Shockmaster. With Zakrisos defeated, the trinity of Solstheim priests is complete. Fire, Azidal, Frost, Dukaan, and Shock, Zakrisos. We have conquered the elements on this ash-covered rock, but Skyrim calls us back. There is a test waiting for us in the Labyrinthian, a test designed by the greatest mage who ever lived. We fast travel back to the mainland, to the ruins of Labyrinthian. Most players run through here for the college questline and never look back. But inside the maze, Shalidor's maze, there is a secret. The maze is a physical puzzle, a test of magical aptitude. At the end of it, if you navigate the twisting corridors correctly, you find a conjuration circle, but it's not empty. Shalidor's Dremora. This is a unique entity. Unlike the pirates or the generic summons, this Dremora was bound by Shalidor himself, the Archmage of the First Era. He is a guardian of the final prize. He doesn't speak much, he just attacks with a flaming greatsword and high-level destruction magic. He is the final exam. Shalidor built this maze to test potential Archmages. If you can defeat his guardian, you are worthy. The reward is the Diadem of the Savant, a unique circlet that reduces the cost of all spells. It's a fitting crown for a mage who has proven they can navigate both the physical twists of the maze and the magical threat at its heart. The Dremora falls with a growl, banishing back to oblivion. We stand in the centre of the maze, the wind whistling through the ruins. We have proven our worth to the ghosts of the past. But there are ghosts who demand more than just a test. There are ghosts who hold the keys to a mask of madness. We travel to Ragnvald, a remote ruin in the Reach. It is a temple built to contain a single terrible entity. But to reach him, we must first defeat his jailers. The stone doors of Ranvald groan open, revealing a temple that feels less like a place of worship and more like a prison. Located in the remote mountains of the Reach, this ruin is silent, save for the dripping of water and the distant shuffle of Draugr. The main chamber is dominated by a sealed sarcophagus, locked by two intricate mechanisms. To open it and face the dragon priest Otar the Mad, we cannot simply pick a lock or find a claw. We must defeat his wardens. We venture into the separate wings of the temple, the canal and the crypts to find them. These are not nameless Draugr Deathlords. These are Serek and Torsten. They are unique named guardians, ancient Nord warriors who were likely tasked or cursed to keep Otar sealed away. When you enter their respective chambers, they don't just wake up, they erupt from their coffins with the distinct heavy thud of high-level undead. Serek and Torsten are formidable melee fighters, wielding ebony weapons and using shouts that can disarm you or send you flying across the room. The fight is a dual gauntlet. You must defeat Serek in the canal to claim his skull key, then travel to the crypts to defeat Torsten for his. Carrying their skulls back to the main chamber feels like a grim ritual. You're physically dismantling the security system of the tomb, using the remains of the jailers to free the prisoner. There is a tragic implication here. Were Serek and Torsten loyal followers of Otar, protecting their master while he slept? Or were they heroes of the Dragon War, sacrificing their eternal rest to ensure the mad priest never woke up. Given Otar's title, the Mad, it is likely the latter. By killing them and taking their skulls, we are undoing their sacrifice. We are the reckless grave robbers breaking the seal they guarded for thousands of years. With the keys inserted, the sarcophagus bursts open. Otar awakes, unleashing a storm of lightning. But the true emotional weight of this encounter lies with the two guardians we put down to get here. We leave Ragnvald with Otar's mask in our inventory, but the silence of the empty tomb, devoid of its watchman, feels heavier than before. We move south now, leaving the rocky terrain of the Reach for the dense pine-forested hills of Falkreath. Near the border of Cyrodiil, hidden inside a small cave known as Haldir's Cairn, lies a boss who offers one of the most unique mechanical fights in the game. The cave is bathed in an eerie, unnatural purple light. A beam of violet energy shoots up from a stone cairn in the centre of the main cavern, casting long, strange shadows. This is the resting place of Haldir. Haldir is a powerful Draugr caster, but he doesn't fight fair. As you chip away at his health, he doesn't just get angry. He splits. He vanishes into the mist and reappears as three distinct elemental versions of himself, one wielding fire, one frost, and one lightning. They stand on the podium surrounding the room, raining. Destruction down on the Dragonborn from all sides. This mechanic, the Soul Split, is rare in Skyrim. It suggests that Haldir was a master of a specific, perhaps forbidden, type of magic that allowed him to fracture his own essence to preserve his life. The in-game book. The legend of Haldir tells us little, but the environmental storytelling is rich. The pile of fresh bodies near the entrance and the hypnotic purple light suggest he lures travellers in to consume their life force, keeping his fractured soul energized. The battle is a test of target prioritization. You have to dodge the crossfire of three different elements while trying to identify and strike the true form, or whittle them all down. It's a rave party of destruction, the purple light strobing as fireballs and ice spikes collide. When Haldir finally dies, his ghost is seen briefly, thanking you for freeing him, implying that the splitting of his soul was a curse, not a blessing. We leave the purple glow behind and step back out onto the road. The sun is shining, the birds are singing. We have finished our dungeon delving. We have collected the ethereal shards, forged the ethereal crown in the lava of the Ethereum Forge, and completed the quest, Lost to the Ages. We feel accomplished. We are walking down the road, perhaps heading to Whiterun to sell our loot, when we see a group of travellers approaching. They look like mages. Leading them is a Dunmer in distinctive robes. As we get closer, he stops. He recognises us, or rather, he recognises the crown on our head. This is Tarandreth. If you haven't played the Dawnguard DLC's Ethereum questline, this name means nothing. But if you have, you know him as the villain of the backstory. He is the scholar who stole Catria's life work, plagiarised her research on the Ethereum Forge, and published a book claiming the discovery as his own, leaving her to die in disgrace. We spent the entire quest with Catria's ghost, hearing her side of the story, helping her achieve the closure she was denied in life. Now, here he is, in the flesh, and he is not happy. You? That's Ethereum. Where did you find that? Tell me, he demands. When he realises you have found the forge, the very thing he claimed to have discovered but never actually did, his ego snaps. He cannot allow you to live. He attacks, and he is surprisingly dangerous. Tarandreth is a high-level destruction mage, and his mercenaries are well-equipped. He hits with the force of a man desperate to protect his fraudulent legacy. This is one of the few boss fights that occurs in the open world, completely unscripted in terms of location. It can happen anywhere, on the road to Riften, outside a city gate, or in the middle of the wilderness. It's a brilliant piece of narrative closure. Catria is gone, having faded away after the forge was opened, but here we get the chance to deliver justice to the man who ruined her. When Tarandreth falls, face, down in the dirt of the road he sought to rule, there is a profound sense of satisfaction. We loot his robes, unique items by the way, and leave his body for the skeevers. His book, The Ethereum Wars, sits in libraries across Skyrim, a monument to a lie that we have finally corrected with steel and fire. The road stretches on. The sun begins to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and violet. We are tired. The weight of the dragon bones and Daedric artifacts in our pack is heavy. As we round a bend near the roadside, we see a solitary figure standing by two dead saber cats. It is an old orc. He is not hostile. He doesn't shout threats or demand a toll. He just stands there, clad in heavy iron armour, waiting. When we speak to him, he tells us his story. He has lived too long. His hair is grey. His tusks are chipped. In orcish culture, a man who lives to old age is a failure. It means he has not died in battle, has not proven his worth to Malakath. He does not want to die in a bed, weak and feeble. He wants a good death. He asks you, the Dragonborn, to provide it. This is the final hidden boss. There is no quest marker, no grand fanfare, no world-ending threat. Just two warriors on a quiet road. He is tough. The old orc hits with the accumulated skill of a lifetime of war. He is level 60, often stronger than the dragons soaring overhead. He doesn't use magic or tricks. He just swings his weapon with brutal, honest force. The fight feels solemn. It isn't about saving the world. It's about respect. You are granting a final wish. As you trade blows, the clang of metal ringing out in the twilight, you realise this is the purest fight in the game. When he finally drops to one knee and breathes his last, saying, "A good death," you don't feel triumph. You feel a quiet reverence. You arrange his body, perhaps leave a weapon by his side. You look out at the horizon, where the moons Massa and Secunda are rising. The wind rustles through the grass. The journey is over. The wind howling off the Sea of Ghosts cuts through even the thickest fur cloaks, a relentless, biting reminder that Dawnstar is a city existing on the edge of habitable civilization. We leave the salt spray of the docks behind, trudging through the knee-deep snow toward the black iron door nestled among the rocks along the shoreline. To the casual observer, this is just another patch of frozen coastline, but to the initiated, to those who know the password and the silence of the void, this is home. This is the Dawnstar Sanctuary, the last true bastion of the Dark Brotherhood in Skyrim. We aren't here for a contract today. We aren't here to listen to the Night Mother's whispers, or to endure Cicero's high-pitched giggling as he oils the coffin for the 100th time. We are here to explore the secrets that even the assassins have forgotten. We are here to open a door that was sealed for a reason, and to confront a legacy of horror that spans generations and provinces. Inside the sanctuary the air is warm, smelling of roasting meat, old leather, and the metallic tang of sharpened steel. The renovation is complete. The gold earned from the Emperor's assassination has been well spent. The banners are hung, the torture room is fully stocked, a grim convenience, and the master bedroom is fit for a listener. But there is one upgrade that Delvin Mallory, the Thieves' Guild fence and contractor, offers with a raised eyebrow. It's a simple clearing of debris, a request to open up a secret entrance that had collapsed years ago. The Dragonborn stands before the newly cleared archway. Where once there was a pile of rubble, there is now a dark tunnel, rough-hewn and draughty. The transition is stark. One moment, you're in the refined, constructed stone of the Brotherhood's headquarters, surrounded by the comforts of a guild hall. The next, you're stepping into a raw wound in the earth. The temperature drops immediately. The smell changes from the savoury scent of stew to something musky, damp and primal. It smells of wet fur, ancient excrement, and stagnant ice. This is the Udafricta's lair. The tunnel widens into a natural cavern, a glaciated hollow beneath the sanctuary. The floor is slick with ice, and the only light filters in from cracks high above in the ceiling, casting long, pale beams that illuminate the dust motes dancing in the freezing air. It is quiet here, but not the silence of the void. It is the silence of a predator waiting in its den. The Dragonborn steps forward, boots crunching softly on the frost. From the shadows in the back of the cave, something stirs. It is massive, a hulk of muscle and matted hair that rises on two legs. Its eyes glow with a feral yellow luminescence, cutting through the gloom. It opens its mouth, revealing tusks yellowed with age, and lets out a roar that shakes the icicles from the ceiling. This is the Udafricta. To the uninitiated, it looks like a troll, perhaps a slightly larger, uglier frost troll. But true lore masters know that this creature is royalty among monsters. It is a biological thread connecting the history of the 3rd and 4th eras, a recurring nightmare that has plagued the heroes of prophecy for centuries. Let's pause the combat for a moment to appreciate the pedigree of the beast charging toward us. The legend of the Udafricta begins on the island of Solstheim, during the Blood Moon prophecy of the Third Era. The Nerevarine, the hero of Morrowind, encountered the original Udafricta near the Thirsk-Mead Hall. It was a beast of legend, sealed away in a tomb of ice, said to have a heart of pure cold. It was a creature that terrorized the Nords, a boogeyman that mothers used to frighten their children into obedience. Years later, during the events of the Oblivion Crisis in Cyrodiil, the champion of Cyrodiil encountered another of the lineage, the Udafricta matron. This horror stalked the invisible village of Elliswell, a phantom in the snow that devoured livestock and villagers alike. The matron was a creature of stealth and terror, carrying the genetic memory of her northern kin. And now, 200 years later, here we are in the Fourth Era, standing in a basement in Dawnstar facing the Descendant. This Udafricta is the legacy of that bloodline. It is a living artifact, a creature that transcends the boundaries of the games. Its presence here implies a migration, a long bloody journey from the ash of Red Mountain or the high peaks of Geralt to this hidden cave on the northern coast. The fight begins in earnest. The Udafricta is fast, deceptively so for its size. It closes the distance with a loping stride, its massive arms swinging like tree trunks. The Dragonborn raises a shield just in time to catch a blow that would have shattered a lesser warrior's ribs. The impact slides the adventurer backward across the ice, sparks flying from the metal. This is not a tactical duel with a master swordsman, this is a brawl. The Udafricta fights with pure, unadulterated rage. It doesn't block, it endures. It absorbs sword strikes and arrow punctures with a grunt, its health bar regenerating at a terrifying rate. This is the hallmark of the Trollkin, a vitality that demands overwhelming offense to overcome. The Dragonborn switches tactics. The blade is sheathed, and the hands ignite with the flickering warmth of destruction magic. Flames, the primal fear of all beasts. A stream of fire erupts from the Dragonborn's palms, illuminating the cavern in harsh orange light. The fire catches on the Udafric's oily fur. The beast shrieks, a sound that is startlingly human in its pitch, and flails. The smell of burning hair fills the small cave, choking and acrid. Fire is the great equalizer here, halting the creature's regeneration and sending it into a panic. But the Udafricta is cornered, and a cornered beast is the most dangerous. It lunges through the flames, ignoring the pain, driven by the singular instinct to crush the intruder. It is a claustrophobic dance. The cave is small, the footing is treacherous, and the enemy is a wall of muscle and hate. There is a grim irony to this battle. Upstairs, the Dark Brotherhood prides itself on being the elite dealers of death in Tamriel. They are sophisticated, following the tenets, mostly, performing rituals, and viewing murder as a sacrament. Yet, directly beneath their feet, lives a creature that represents murder in its most base animalistic form. The Udafrict kills to eat, to survive, to protect its territory. It has no Sithis, no Night Mother, no philosophy. It is pure violence. The proximity suggests a dark symbiosis. Did the Brotherhood know it was here? Did the previous listeners or keepers toss their refuse, or their failures, down the chute to feed the beast? It's a chilling thought. The garbage disposal of the sanctuary, a pet monster kept in the dark to clean up the messes that couldn't be buried. Or perhaps it's simply burrowed in, drawn to the smell of death that permeates the sanctuary. A scavenger finding a home near a slaughterhouse. The battle reaches its climax. The Udafricta, scorched and bleeding, unleashes a final flurry of blows. The Dragonborn shouts, Yol Tor Shul, fire breath. The voice of the dragon meets the roar of the troll. The blast consumes the remaining oxygen in the cave and the Udafricta collapses, its massive bulk hitting the ice with a thud that vibrates through the soles of the Dragonborn's boots. The silence rushes back in, heavier than before. The fire flickers and dies, leaving only the glowing embers on the beast's fur and the pale ambient light of the ice. The Dragonborn approaches the corpse. Looting the Udafricta is often a moment of anticlimax for the loot-hungry player. It typically carries little more than troll fat and perhaps a generic weapon. But the true treasure is the environmental storytelling. On the body, or near it, one might find a callback to its victims, or simply the satisfaction of ending a lineage of terror. However, looking around the cave, we see the remnants of its meals. Bones cracked open for marrow, scraps of cloth. It's a grim reminder that this wasn't just a boss fight. It was an execution of a squatter that had been living alongside the Brotherhood for who knows how long. Walking back toward the tunnel, the Dragonborn pauses. The transition back to the sanctuary feels jarring. To step from this primal cave back into the constructed, civilized evil of the Brotherhood hallway is a strange shift. We wipe the troll fat from our armour, check our health levels, and step through the archway. "Ah, you found it then," Delvin might say in our imagination, counting his coin. "Nasty business, that." The sanctuary continues its routine. Babette tells her stories of seducing victims. Nazir hands out contracts. They are oblivious, or perhaps indifferent, to the violence that just occurred in their basement. The Udafricta is dead, its roar silenced, its heat fading into the ice. But for the lore hunter, the encounter lingers. It is a connection to the past, a nod from the developers to the players who have walked the path of the Elder Scrolls for decades. It is a reminder that in this world, monsters are everywhere. Some hide in caves, and some wear red and black leather and call themselves family. We leave the Dawnstar Sanctuary, stepping back out into the biting cold of the Pale. The snow is falling harder now, blurring the horizon. We have slain the beast in the basement, but our list is far from complete. The northern lights are beginning to shimmer overhead, guiding our eyes toward the northwest, toward a place that doesn't appear on most maps, a place where the sun is rare and the ice is older than the First Era. We must prepare for a journey to the Forgotten Vale. We need to check our supply of arrows and perhaps enchant our boots with fire resistance. The water there is cold, and the guardians waiting beneath the ice are not as solitary as the beast we just slew. They come in pairs, and they do not welcome strangers. We leave the blood-stained ice of the Dawnstar Sanctuary behind, and turn our eyes toward the Reach, to a cave mouth that serves as the gateway to a lost world. Darkfall Cave is a miserable, twisting gauntlet of spiders and trolls, a pitch-black descent that feels endless. But for those who endure the darkness, the reward is blinding. We emerge not into another dungeon, but into the Forgotten Vale. It is a place of breathtaking, tragic beauty. The sky here is different, clearer, sharper, as if the air itself has been scrubbed clean of the mortal dust that plagues the rest of Tamriel. Frozen waterfalls hang suspended in time like jagged curtains of crystal. The architecture of the snow elves, gleaming white and untouched by the rot of the Falmer, rises from the snow in elegant sweeping curves. It is a sanctuary that time forgot, a pocket of the Merethic era preserved in a snow globe. But beauty in Skyrim is rarely safe. We make our way through the canyon, fighting off the twisted, chitin-armoured Falmer who have defiled this holy ground, until the landscape opens up into a massive flat expanse, the frozen lake. It stretches out before us, a vast sheet of white and grey scoured by the wind. In the centre, a rocky island rises, crowned by the curved stonework of a word wall. It calls to the Dragonborn, the chanting of the ancient tongues carrying on the wind, a siren song for anyone hungry for power. We step onto the ice. Every Skyrim player knows the anxiety of walking on a frozen lake. You listen for the groan of the ice shifting, the crack that signals a plunge into freezing water. But here, the danger doesn't come from falling in, it comes from what is breaking out. As we trudge toward the word wall, the silence of the Vale is shattered. The ice beneath our boots trembles. It isn't a subtle vibration, it's an earthquake. Suddenly, the surface of the lake explodes. Massive shards of ice, thick as castle walls, are thrown into the air. Water sprays upward in geysers, freezing instantly in the chill air. From the churning dark water, two shapes erupt. They are sleek, serpentine, and terrifyingly agile. They do not soar down from the clouds like the dragons of the throat of the world. They breach like whales, twisting in the air before crashing back down or snapping their wings open to hover. These are the twins, Naslarum and Voslarum. Most dragon fights in Skyrim follow a predictable script. The dragon circles overhead, you shoot arrows until it lands, it bites, you shout, it dies. But Naslarum and Voslarum are different. They are ambush predators. They have adapted to this aquatic environment in a way no other dragons have. They are revered dragons, a type introduced in the Dawnguard DLC, distinguishable by their flat, broad heads and vibrant orange and grey scales. But their behaviour is what makes them a nightmare. They don't just fly, they swim. During the fight, they will frequently dive back into the holes in the ice, disappearing beneath the surface. This mechanic changes everything. You lose your target lock, you stand there on the open ice spinning in circles watching the water ripple, waiting for the inevitable breach. Where are they? The anxiety is palpable. Then crash. One bursts out behind you, unleashing a torrent of drain vitality shout, while the other strafes you from above with frost breath. It is a chaotic, disorienting 2v1 battle. You're exposed with zero cover. There are no pillars to hide behind, no guard towers to duck into. It is just you, the slippery ice, and two ancient beasts who have been coordinating their attacks for thousands of years. The names Naslerum and Voslerum are fascinating to the linguists of the community. Unlike most dragon names, which translate into three distinct words of power, like Parthenax meaning ambition, overlord, cruelty, these names don't have a direct confirmed translation in the standard draconic dictionary provided by Bethesda. This adds to their mystery. Are they names from a dialect of the dragon tongue lost to time? Or perhaps names given to them by the snow elves they once served, or hunted? There is a compelling fan theory regarding their presence here. The Forgotten Vale is the domain of Auriel, the elven version of Akatosh, the dragon god of time. The snow elves worshipped Auriel above all others. It is poetic, then, that the guardians of their inner sanctum are dragons, children of the very god they worship. Were Naslerum and Voslerum willing guardians, holy beasts fed and honoured by the snow elf prelates? Or are they opportunists who moved in after the fall, claiming the empty temple of their father god as a nesting ground? The fact that they guard a word wall gives us a clue. The shout they protect is drain vitality. It's a shout that saps the life, magicka and stamina of the victim. It fits the theme of the Vale perfectly, a place where life is slowly, beautifully preserved, yet drained of its vitality, leaving behind only frozen husks and blind monsters. The battle on the ice is a test of endurance. The dragons dive and surface, dive and surface. You have to time your Dragonren shouts perfectly to force them to land and stay landed. When they do crash onto the ice, they slide, their claws gouging deep furrows in the frozen surface. The sound of battle, the roar of flames, the shattering of ice, the thud of dragon bone against Daedric armour echoes off the canyon walls, likely alerting every Fulmer within a 5-mile radius. When the first twin falls, the dynamic shifts. The survivor seems to fight more desperately, or perhaps that's just us projecting our own narrative. But eventually the second dragon crashes down, its orange scales dulling as the life leaves its eyes. Then comes the double absorption. It is a rare spectacle. The Dragonborn stands over the carcasses, and the energy streams from both bodies simultaneously, or in quick succession. The air swirls with the souls of two ancient beings. You unlock the secrets of the voice twice over. You strip their bones, heavy, valuable dragon bones that will inevitably over-encumber you, forcing you to waddle toward the nearest exit or frantically drop those 12 Dwemer struts you were hoarding. Standing there on the cracked ice surrounded by the steam rising from the dragon skeletons, you take a moment to breathe. The ambush is over. The guardians of the lake are dead, but the lake is just the foyer. The Forgotten Vale is vast, and while the dragons watch the lowlands, something else watches the high passes. As we look up from the lake toward the towering cliffs and the frozen waterfalls that hide the upper reaches of the Vale, we realise that the dragons were not the only giants in this neighbourhood. We are not done with this winter wonderland yet. We have the keys to the shout, but we do not have the keys to the treasure. For that, we need to find the wardens who walk on two legs. We need to find the frost giant paragons. Most players, eager to finish the quest and get their hands on Auriel's bow, rush past these hidden alcoves. They see a giant in the distance and think, I don't have time for that. They sprint toward the inner sanctum, ignoring the side paths. They are making a mistake. The frost giants of the Vale are not just random mobs. They are the keepers of a teleportation network that would make a wizard jealous. They hold the paragons, gemstones of immense size and specific cut, that act as keys to the snow elves' hidden vaults. We check our map. It's useless here. The Vale is a foggy, undefined blob on the standard Skyrim map interface. We have to rely on landmarks. We head toward the river that feeds the frozen lake, moving upstream. The wind picks up, whistling through the ice formations. We are hunting for the first of 5 brothers. We are hunting the amethyst paragon. The wind bites harder as we ascend from the frozen lake, leaving the carcasses of the twin dragons behind. The Forgotten Vale is not just a flat expanse of ice. It is a vertical maze, a series of canyons and cliffs that force the Dragonborn to become a mountain goat. We are leaving the domain of the reptiles and entering the domain of the mammals, specifically the massive club-wielding bipeds who serve as the bouncers for the snow elves' private treasure rooms. We are hunting the frost giant paragons. To the unobservant traveller, these might look like standard giants. They have the same lumbering gait, the same affinity for mammoths, though none are here, and the same terrifying ability to introduce players to the Skyrim space program with a single downward swing of their club. But these giants are different. They are named, unique, and purposeful. There are 5 of them, scattered across the Vale like Easter eggs in a snowstorm, and each one holds a key, a paragon made of solid gemstone. We spot the first one, the amethyst paragon holder, trudging along the banks of the river that cuts through the canyon. He is solitary, a lonely sentinel patrolling a path that hasn't seen foot traffic in 4,000 years. He doesn't have a campfire or a herd. He just walks, his breath pluming in the cold air, clutching his club as if he's expecting an inspection from a snow prince who is never coming back. The fight is a brutal collision of physics. The Dragonborn engages, perhaps with a stealth arrow to the knee, classic, or a charge with a shield raised. The giant roars, a deep guttural sound that echoes off the canyon walls. He hits hard. These are high-level variants boasting health pools that can sponge up damage from even the most overpowered Daedric weapons. The narrowness of the canyon works against us. There is little room to kite. It becomes a slugfest, a test of armor rating and potion tolerance. When the amethyst giant falls, rumbling the earth one last time, we loot the body. Nestled among the gold and the giant's toe, an alchemical ingredient that frankly raises more questions about hygiene than we want to answer, is the prize, the amethyst paragon. It is a heavy egg-shaped gem, glowing with a soft purple light. It is clearly not jewellery, it is a tool. But one gem does not make a collection. We must push deeper. The hunt takes us into the glacial crevice, a nightmare of ice tunnels and farmer bridges that connects the lower and upper valleys. We fight through the darkness, emerging onto the high cliffs where the wind screams. Here, perched on a ledge that overlooks the entire valley, we find the diamond paragon giant. He stands motionless, blending into the snow, a part of the landscape itself. The battle on the cliff edge is precarious. One wrong step, or one solid hit from the giant, and the Dragonborn is going for a very long fall. It adds a layer of vertigo to the combat. You are dodging a tree trunk club, while trying not to slip off a sheer drop. When he is defeated, the diamond paragon is ours, a gem of pure white light. We continue the circuit. The emerald paragon giant hides in the dense former settlements high in the mountains, forcing us to clear out waves of the betrayed before we can even challenge him. The sapphire paragon giant stands guard near the inner sanctum itself, watching the bridge like the troll from the Billy Goat's Gruff, only much bigger and with less interest in riddles. And finally, the ruby paragon giant. He's located in the inner sanctum area, past the initial shrines. He holds the key to perhaps the most coveted treasure of them all. Once all 5 gems, amethyst, diamond, emerald, sapphire and ruby, are weighing down our inventory, because let's be honest, we're all carrying 300 pounds of essential potions we will never use. We must find the lock. Hidden near the top of the waterfall, accessible only by a nondescript path that most players run right past, is the Paragon platform. It is a piece of elegant snow elf architecture, a stone archway with a socket specifically designed for these egg-shaped gems. This is the core in-game fact of the section. The Paragon platform is the hub for a localized teleportation network. By inserting a specific paragon into the socket, a portal opens within the archway. It's a magical elevator system. This mechanic is delightful because it rewards curiosity over quest markers. There is no arrow pointing to the platform, you have to find it, and the rewards are substantial. We insert the amethyst paragon. The portal swirls to life. We step through and find ourselves on a previously inaccessible ledge in Darkfall Grotto, staring at a chest filled with loot. We step back, switch the gem for the diamond one. Whoosh! We are transported to a hidden balcony over the glacial crevice. But the real prize comes from the ruby paragon. Inserting this red gem transports the Dragonborn to a secluded forest area, a pocket of green within the ice. Here we find a farmer warmonger carrying a unique shield, Oriel's shield. This is one of the most powerful defensive items in the game. It stores the energy of blocked attacks and can release it as a concussive blast, a Fusrodar built into your arm. Finding it feels like discovering a developer's secret stash. It's the ultimate reward for the hunt. Now, let's talk lore. Why are there frost giants here, and why do they have the keys? The obscure lore tidbit comes from the environmental storytelling and the behaviour of the giants themselves. Unlike the giants of the mainland, who are nomadic herders, these giants seem stationary, posted at specific choke points. The prevailing theory is that the snow elves, at the height of their civilization, didn't just domesticate the Falmer before their corruption. They may have also employed or enslaved giants as heavy security. The paragons are clearly snow elf technology. A giant has no use for a teleportation key. He can't fit through the portal, and he likely doesn't care about the enchanted shield on the other side. This suggests the giants are holding these items because they were told to. They are fulfilling orders given thousands of years ago by masters who are long dead. They are the loyal dogs waiting by the door for a return that will never happen. This brings us to a community debate that fans love to chew on. Are these the true giants? The giants we see in Skyrim, the ones herding mammoths, are often considered to be a regressed culture, peaceful but primitive. However, the frost giants of the Vale seem more aggressive, more primal, and physically distinct with their extra eyes and fur. Some lorebeards argue that these frost giants are closer to the ancient Atmaran stock, the titans of old legends, preserved by the isolation of the Vale, while the mainland giants have softened and changed over the eras. There is a tragedy in killing them. They aren't raiding villages, they aren't attacking the Dawn Guard, they are just standing there, clutching the shiny rocks they were entrusted with. We, the Dragonborn, are the home invaders here. We are breaking into a preserved sanctuary, murdering the security guards, and looting the safe deposit boxes. But, looking at the stats on Auriel's shield, the guilt passes quickly. We stand on the Paragon platform, the portal shimmering before us. We have cleared the Vale, the dragons are dead, the giants are slain, and the pockets of the snow elves have been picked clean. The cold beauty of the forgotten Vale begins to feel less like a church and more like a graveyard we have just desecrated. It is time to leave. We have had enough of the blinding white snow and the endless vertical climbs. We need a change of scenery. We need to go back to the ash. We fast travel away from the Vale, the loading screen offering a brief respite. When the world fades back in, the air is thick with grey dust. We are back on Solstheim. The island is hostile, alien, and filled with the echoes of the dragon cult. We have dealt with the physical guardians of the Vale. Now we must deal with the magical guardians of the ash. We are heading to the northern part of the island, where the albino spiders scuttle and the magic feels wrong. We are heading to White Ridge Barrow. Most barrows in Skyrim are dusty and filled with cobwebs. This one is slimy. As we approach the entrance, we see the first signs of the infestation. The albino spiders. They are pale, pulsing with a sickly light, and they jump with a ferocity that makes the standard frostbite spider look like a cuddly pet. We cut our way through the webs and the chitin, descending into the earth. The air gets colder, but not the clean cold of the Vale. This is a damp, unnatural chill. We're entering the domain of a master who has had centuries to perfect his craft in the dark. We're coming for the master of White Ridge. Barrow, we are coming for Dukaan. The descent into White Ridge Barrow is an exercise in pest control. If you thought the frostbite spiders of the mainland were a nuisance, Solstheim invites you to hold its mead. The tunnels here are choked with cobwebs that feel stickier, thicker than usual, but the real horror is the fauna. We aren't fighting the standard black and red arachnids here. We are fighting the albino spiders. They are pale, fleshy things that glow with a sickly luminescence in the dark. They scuttle across the ceiling and drop down with a wet thud, hissing and spitting. But they aren't just ugly. They are volatile. Some of them are elemental, flame-cloaked spiders that explode on contact, poison-cloaked spiders that leave lingering clouds of gas. It becomes clear very quickly that this isn't a natural ecosystem. This is a laboratory. As the Dragonborn pushes deeper, hacking through the webbing and the chitin, we come across a massive central chamber that confirms our suspicions. There is a cage, a viewing platform, and a strange device known as the imbuing chamber. It's a magical crafting station, arcane and ancient, that allows the user to insert albino spider pods and various gems to create, well, spider grenades. It is one of the most bizarre and often overlooked mechanics in the entire game. You can literally craft mind control spiders, exploding spiders, and cloaking spiders to throw at your enemies. This discovery paints a grim picture of the barrow's original purpose. This wasn't just a tomb, it was a research facility. Someone was down here, twisting nature, weaponizing the local wildlife with magic. And as we move past the laboratory into the final sanctum, we meet the head scientist. The room opens up, damp and cold. A word wall stands at the far end, the chanting of the cyclone shout reverberating off the stone, and rising from the sarcophagus in front of it, floating on a cushion of freezing mist, is the master of the house. This is Dukaan. Dukaan is one of the 3 high-level dragon priests unique to the Dragonborn DLC, and he represents the element of frost. Now, fighting a frost mage in Skyrim usually elicits a yawn. Oh no, my stamina is draining, whatever shall I do? But Dukaan is built different. He is level 60, scaling with the player to provide a challenge even for endgame characters. When he wakes up, the temperature in the room seems to drop absolute zero. He doesn't just cast Ice Spike, he casts heavy-hitting blizzard spells that fill the room with chaotic, vision-obscuring whiteout. His aim is impeccable. He leads his targets, predicting your strafing movements and catching you with spears of ice that hit like ballista bolts. But he doesn't fight alone. Dukaan has the ability to summon Seekers, those floating, tentacled horrors from Hermaeus Mora's realm of Apocrypha. This introduces a chaotic variable to the fight. You're trying to dodge Dukaan's frost magic while simultaneously dealing with Seekers who are spamming magic-draining attacks and creating duplicates of themselves. The battlefield becomes a mess of flying ice, green tentacles, and the Dragonborn frantically chugging potions of resist frost. Let's talk about his name. In the dragon tongue, Dukaan translates to dishonor. This is a core in-game fact that tells us a tremendous amount about his character with a single word. Dragon priests were the kings of their age, ruling with absolute authority. To be named Dishonor suggests a fall from grace. This leads us to the obscure lore and environmental storytelling. Why is a priest named Dishonor burying himself with mutant spiders on an island far from the capital of the dragon cult? The presence of the imbuing chamber and the corrupted spiders suggests that Dukaan was perhaps a pariah, a priest who dabbled in arts that even his cruel masters found distasteful. Or perhaps his dishonor came from a failure in the Dragon War, and he was exiled to this frozen corner of Solstheim to guard a minor word wall and conduct his strange experiments in isolation. There is a fascinating fan theory that connects Dukaan to the other 2 elemental priests of Solstheim, Azidal, Fire, and Zakrisos, Shock. The theory posits that these 3 formed a specific triad of power, an elemental council that governed the island under the dragon's rule. Dukaan, representing the bitter cold of the north, might have been the warden of the island's physical defences, creating the Spider Guardians to patrol the barrows. His exile to White Ridge Barrow, a place infested with his own creations, feels less like a tomb and more like a house arrest. The fight requires patience. Dukaan floats, he teleports. Just when you close the distance to land a power attack with your warhammer, he dissolves into mist and reappears across the room, chucking an ice storm at your face. If you are a melee build, this fight is a game of cat and mouse where the mouse freezes you solid. If you are a mage, it's a wizard duel of the highest order. Using fire magic is the obvious counter, and watching the flames lick against his frost cloak creates a visually stunning contrast of orange and blue. Eventually, the floating lich takes too much fire. He lets out a final raspy groan and disintegrates into an ash pile. The blizzard subsides, the Seekers vanish back to oblivion with a wet pop. We loot the ash pile, we find gold, perhaps a staff, but the prize is the mask. The mask, also named Dukaan, is a heavy iron visage with a jagged, almost frowning mouth. Wearing it grants the Dragonborn 50% resistance to frost and causes their own frost spells to do 25% more damage. It is a best-in-slot item for any Cryomancer build, a tangible reward for enduring the spider-infested hellhole we just cleared. But the barrow offers one last prize. On the word wall behind Dukaan's resting place, we learn a word for the cyclone shout. This shout allows us to cast a small tornado that launches enemies into the air. It's a hilarious and powerful crowd control tool, perfect for sending bandits flying off cliffs. It feels fitting that the dishonored priest would guard a shout that literally creates chaos. We leave Whiteridge Barrow stepping back out into the ash storms of Solstheim. We have the frost mask. We have the spider grenades, which we will probably forget to use, let's be honest. But the elemental triad is not yet broken. We have dealt with the cold, now we must deal with the heat. We check our journal. There is a quest that has been sitting there for weeks, updating annoyingly often. Visit the dig site. Wait for a courier. Visit the dig site again. It's the quest unearthed, and it demands our attention and our wallet. We travel south to the ash wastes near Raven Rock. There is a camp there, surrounding a partially buried Nordic ruin. A dark elf named Rallis Sedaris is pacing back and forth, looking stressed. He is an ambitious archaeologist, or perhaps a con man, or perhaps the unluckiest elf in Morrowind. He needs gold, a lot of it. He claims there is something magnificent buried beneath the sand, and he needs to hire miners to dig it out. We pay him 1,000 gold. We leave, wander around, kill a few netches. A courier runs up to us. Important message. We read the letter. The miners are dead. Draugr. Rallis needs help. We go back. We clear the Draugr. Rallis apologizes. He needs more gold to hire new miners. 2,000 gold this time. This cycle repeats. The cost goes up. The miners keep dying. The Draugr get tougher. Rallis's journals scattered around the camp begin to document a descent into madness. He hears chanting. He hears a voice calling to him, whispering promises of power. The excavation becomes deeper, darker, and more ominous. Most players realize halfway through that this isn't just a dig, it's a resurrection. We aren't uncovering a ruin, we're waking something up. But the sunk cost fallacy kicks in. We have already spent 5,000 gold, we might as well see it through. Finally, after the fourth investment, bringing the total to a staggering 11,000 septims, the courier arrives one last time. The excavation is complete. Rallis is waiting. We arrive at Colbjorn Barrow. The camp is silent. The miners are gone, dead or fled. We descend into the fully excavated ruin. It is magnificent, a sprawling complex of Nordic stone, but the air is thick with the smell of sulphur and burning ozone. The chanting is loud now, filling our heads. We reach the final chamber. The floor is covered in oil, the pillars are scorched. In the centre, Rallis Sedaris stands, or rather, floats, channeling a spell to break the final seal. He shouts at us, his voice layered with another deeper resonance. He has succeeded. He has woken the master. The ground cracks. Fire erupts from the vents in the floor, and from the centre of the inferno rises the second member of the Solstheim triad. This is Azidal. If Dukaan was a researcher, Azidal was a destroyer. His name means the embittered destroyer, and unlike the vague dishonour of his peer, Azidal's backstory is fully fleshed out in the in-game book Azidal's Descent. He was a human, a brilliant enchanter who lived during the Merethic era. When the Snow Elves sacked the human city of Sarthal, the Night of Tears, Azidal was away training. He returned to find his home in ruins, his family dead. Consumed by grief and a thirst for vengeance, he swore to destroy the elves. He travelled the world, learning the magical arts from the Dwemer, the Chimera and the Aelids. He mastered every form of destruction he could find. Finally, he turned to the dragon cult, offering his services not out of faith, but out of a shared desire for dominance. He became a dragon priest, using his immense magical knowledge to arm the cult's armies with enchanted weapons that slaughtered the elves by the thousands. But power comes with a price. The madness of the dragons and the corruption of the Oblivion realms he tapped into consumed him. He was sealed away here in Colbjorn, waiting. And now, thanks to our gold and Rallis's weak will, he is back. Azidal is a pyromancer of the highest order. As soon as the fight begins, the room transforms into an oven. He casts Fire Stream, a continuous jet of flame that melts health bars. He uses the spell Azidal's Blow, a unique mechanic that creates a fiery explosion, knocking the Dragonborn backward. If you are a vampire, this fight is a nightmare. The fire damage is amplified, and you will find yourself burning to a crisp in seconds. He also resurrects the bodies of the dead miners and Draugr around him, creating a meat shield of flaming zombies. The fight is frantic. You are dodging fireballs, hacking at zombies, and trying to land hits on the floating priest who is laughing at you with the voice of a demigod. The lore connection here is profound. Azidal is the reason the Nords were able to fight back against the elves so effectively. He is the Oppenheimer of the Dragon War, the man who escalated the magical arms race. Fighting him feels like fighting history itself. You're facing the man who arguably saved humanity in Skyrim, but lost his own humanity in the process. The fan community loves Azidal because he represents the Magic Knight archetype gone wrong. He wasn't born a monster, he was made one by tragedy. His descent into the dragon cult was a desperate bid for the power to protect his people, or avenge them. It adds a layer of tragedy to the fight. We aren't just killing a lich, we are putting down a grief-stricken genius who stayed angry for 4,000 years. When Azidal finally falls, his body turning to ash amidst the fading flames, the silence returns to Colbion Barrow. Rallis Sedaris collapses, the possession broken. He looks up at you, dazed, claiming he doesn't remember what happened. He asks for mercy. This presents a moral choice. Rallis killed the miners. He led them to their deaths to feed the priest, but he was mind-controlled. Do you execute him for his crimes, or do you spare him? If you spare him, he becomes a follower, and ironically, one of the best followers in the game, with high-level dual-wielding stats. It's a pragmatic choice, justice for the dead miners, or a really strong companion to carry your dragon bones. Looting Azidal's ash pile yields his mask, which grants 50% fire resistance and a 25% boost to fire damage. It is the perfect counterpart to Dukaan's mask. But the real treasure is found in the depths of the barrow as you explored, the relics of Azidal. These are unique armor pieces enchanted by the master himself. There are boots that let you walk on water, Jesus boots, as the community calls them. A ring that unlocks 2 new spells, Ignite and Freeze, and gauntlets that allow your wards to absorb magicka. Collecting the full set gives you a boost to enchanting, a fitting tribute to the master enchanter. We strip the barrow clean. We have the fire mask, we have the frost mask. 2/3 of the Solstheim triad are dead. The elements are bowing to the Dragonborn. But there is one left, the element of the storm, the lightning that strikes from the dark. We leave the excavated pit of Colbion and head toward the settlement of Ravenrock, but we aren't going to the tavern, we're going to the mine. The villagers say it's dried up, abandoned, but we know better. We know that deep inside, behind a door that requires a blade of red energy to open, the final priest is waiting. Zakrisos is calling. The wooden barricades of the Ravenrock mine shatter under the weight of a power attack, splintering into rotten dust. We step into the gloom, leaving the skepticism of the villagers behind. To them, this is a dried-up vein of ebony, a financial failure that nearly killed their town. To us, it is a foyer. The air is thick with the dust of the old empire, but as we descend past the pickaxes and the abandoned carts, the atmosphere shifts. The smell of dry earth gives way to something wetter, darker, the scent of stagnant water and ozone. We are entering the domain of the final member of the Solstheim triad. We have burned with Azidal and frozen with Dukaan. Now we must face the storm. The path to him is not a straight line. It is blocked by a puzzle that has stumped many an adventurer who forgot to read the item description. We find the remains of Gracian Corellius, an imperial explorer who died trying to solve it. Beside him lies the key, the Bloodskull blade. This great sword is a masterpiece of ancient Nord craftsmanship, glowing with a pulsing red energy. It is unique in all of Skyrim. When swung, it releases a wave of energy, a Cero for the anime fans out there, that flies through the air to strike distant targets. The door ahead is marked with vertical and horizontal fissures glowing with the same red light. The environmental storytelling here is mechanical. The game forces you to sync with the rhythm of the blade, swinging horizontally to hit the flat cracks vertically for the standing ones. It is a ritual dance, a proof of competency. You cannot enter the inner sanctum unless you know how to handle the weapon of its guardian. As the massive stone door grinds open, the sound of rushing water fills the air. We step into a colossal cavern, the ceiling lost in the darkness. A black lake stretches out before us, broken by stone walkways and waterfalls pouring from the mouths of dragon statues. And there, hovering over the centre of the abyss, is the priest, Zakrisos. His name translates to sword blood mortal in the dragon tongue. It is a name that drips with violence, fitting for a creature who guards a blade designed to kill from a distance. Unlike his brothers, Zachrisos does not rely on the slow creep of ice or the blast of fire. He commands the element of shock. As soon as he spots the Dragonborn, the cavern lights up. Lightning bolts arc from his hands, cracking through the air with the sound of a whip. The water below him ripples with the electric charge. This is the danger of this arena. In Skyrim, lightning magic drains magicka, leaving mages helpless, but it also travels instantly. There is no travel time to dodge like a fireball. You see the flash, and you take the damage. Zachrisos is a level 60 powerhouse, floating above the liquid conductor of the lake. If you fall in, you are in trouble. The water slows you down, making you a sitting duck for his thunderbolt and lightning storm spells. He wears a mask that looks identical to Dukaan's and Azidal's in shape, but the enchantment is specific. 50% resistance to shock and a 25% boost to shock damage. It completes the set, the final piece of the elemental armor. The fight is a tactical nightmare. Zachrisos loves to hover over the deep water where you cannot reach him with a sword. Melee fighters are forced to use the Bloodskull blade's energy waves or switch to a bow, trading blows with a demigod who has infinite magicka. The cavern echoes with the boom of thunder, the flashes illuminating the ancient Nord architecture in strobe-like glimpses. But why is he here? Why is a dragon priest guarding an ebony mine? The core in-game fact is that Zachrisos is not just guarding the mine, he is guarding a black book, specifically the Winds of Change. These books are artifacts of Hermaeus Mora, the Daedric Prince of Knowledge. They are portals to Apocrypha, his realm of tentacles and forbidden libraries. This implies that Zachrisos was not just a priest, he was a warden of the gate. The lore implications are terrifying. The dragon cult in its height had a direct line to Hermaeus Mora. The priests were bargaining with demons for power. Zachrisos, the sword-blood mortal, was likely the jailer or the librarian of this specific connection. He sealed himself away with the book, perhaps to protect it, or perhaps because he had read too much and could no longer exist in the sane world. There is also the connection to the Bloodskull clan. The blade we used to enter the chamber belonged to an ancient Nordic clan on Solstheim. Did Zachrisos wipe them out? Did he enslave them? Or was the Bloodskull blade a gift from the priest to his loyal followers, a weapon imbued with his own red energy? The fact that the blade opens his door suggests a partnership. The Bloodskull clan were likely the honor guard for the priest, wielding his energy weapons until they died out, leaving only their blade and their master behind. As the battle rages, the Dragonborn must utilize every tool in the arsenal. Stormcall is a poetic counter, fighting lightning with lightning, but risky indoors. Slow time allows you to close the distance on the narrow walkways. When the final blow lands, Zachrisos spins in the air, his body contorting as the magic binding him fails. He disintegrates into ash, his mask falling onto the stone with a heavy clatter. We claim the mask, we claim the black book. But the feeling of unease remains. We have united the three masks of Solstheim, Azidal, Dukaan, Zachrisos. In the inventory they look like a grim trophy case. Fire, frost, shock. We have mastered the elements of the island. The fan community often debates which of the three is the hardest. Azidal has the raw damage, Dukaan has the slow, but Zachrisos has the environment. Fighting a lightning mage while surrounded by water is a cruel joke by the level designers. It forces you to be precise, to watch your footing, to respect the terrain. With the priest dead, the mine is technically cleared, but the ominous energy doesn't dissipate. We open the black book, and tentacles reach out to pull us into Apocrypha for a quick visit to Uncle Mora, but that is a story for another time. Today, we are hunting bosses, not books. We leave Raven Rock, the ash crunching under our boots. Solstheim is quiet. We have decapitated its ancient leadership. The island feels a little less hostile, or perhaps just a little emptier. We catch the boat back to Windhelm, watching the Red Mountain fade into the mist. The mainland awaits. We are returning to Skyrim, but not to the open fields or the sunny holds. We're going back to school, specifically the College of Winterhold. But we aren't going to class. We are going to the ruins that every student whispers about but few dare to enter. Labyrinthian. This massive ruin is a city unto itself, a sprawling complex of stone arches and deep pits. It was once the capital of the dragon cult, the Bromjunar. It is where the priests met to govern the land. Now, it is a graveyard of trolls and wisp mothers. most players rush through the main ruin for the Staff of Magnus quest, fighting Morike and saving the world. But in their haste, they miss the test. Tucked away on the grounds of Labyrinthian is a separate entrance, a small dome structure that leads to Shalidor's maze. Shalidor is a name that commands respect. He was the Archmage of the First Era, a Nord wizard of such power that he is said to have built the city of Winterhold with a whisper. He was the founder of the glamorous aesthetic of magic, a man who believed that intellect should be tested, and he built a maze to do just that. We enter the maze. It is not a dungeon in the traditional sense. It is a physical puzzle. The walls are high, the corridors twisting. At the four corners of the maze stand 4 staves, staffs of magelight, firebolts, etc. To progress to solve the maze, we must use specific spells on specific sigils. It is a test of magical versatility. You cannot just be a pyromancer here. You must know alteration, destruction, conjuration. You must be a complete mage. We navigate the twists and turns, feeling the eyes of the past on us. This was the gauntlet for the archmages of the old. If you couldn't solve this, you weren't fit to lead. Finally, the maze opens into a central arena. We have solved the riddles. We have proven our intellect. Now, we must prove our strength. The air shimmers in the centre of the maze. A conjuration portal tears open, distinct from the purple tears of the soul cairn. This is a binding circle, ancient and powerful. From the red mist steps a warrior clad in Daedric armour, wielding a flaming great sword. This is Shalidor's Dremora. He is not a random spawn. He has no name, only a title. He is the eternal guardian of Shalidor's legacy. He does not speak. He does not bargain like Velek's sign. He exists for one purpose, to crush those who are smart, enough to solve the maze but too weak to hold the title. The fight is a duel. The arena is small, enclosed by the high walls of the labyrinth. There is nowhere to run. The Dremora charges, his sword leaving trails of fire in the air. He uses high-level destruction magic, blasting the Dragonborn with fireballs when we try to create distance. He is aggressive, relentless, fighting with the discipline of a soldier who's been drilling for this moment for 1,000 years. The obscure lore here is fascinating. Why a Dremora? Shalidor was a Nord, a man who often fought against the elves and their magic. Why would he bind a Daedra as his final test? It suggests that Shalidor understood that true power requires dominance over all planes. To be an archmage, one must not just understand Nirn, one must command oblivion. The Dremora is a slave to Shalidor's will, a testament to the mage's power even in death. It also raises a question about the Dremora himself. Is he the same entity every time, or does the maze summon a new champion from the Deadlands for each challenger? Given his unique title, it implies a specific contract. This Dremora might have lost a bet to Shalidor eras ago, his service in the maze the price of his defeat. The battle ends with the Dremora's banishment. He doesn't die, he fades, returning to his home plane, likely relieved that his shift is over. The reward for this trial is unique. On the corpse, or where he stood, we find the diadem of the Savant. It is a lightweight circlet that acts as light armour, providing a defense rating while also reducing the magicka cost of all spells by 5%. It is the crown of the educated. It tells the world, I didn't just find this in a chest, I earned it. We place the diadem on our brow. We have passed Shalidor's test. We leave the Labyrinthian, the wind howling through the ruins. The snow is picking up, obscuring the road. We are feeling confident. We have defeated elemental priests and Daedric guardians. We are the masters of magic and might, but the Reach is calling. The mountains to the west hold a secret that requires not just one key, but 2. We travel to the steep, craggy cliffs near Markarth. We are looking for a ruin called Ragnvald. It is off the beaten path, hidden high in the mountains where only the goats and the forsworn dare to tread. Ragnvald is a temple, but it feels like a maximum security prison. As we enter, the door slams shut. The main chamber is dominated by a massive sealed sarcophagus. There are no levers, no pull chains. There are 2 empty sockets staring at us, shaped like human skulls. The silence is broken by a voice. It is ancient, cracked, and insane. It is the voice of Otar the Mad, taunting us from inside his stone box. But he is not our concern yet. To get to him, we have to go through his wardens. We head into the left wing of the temple, the canal. The air is damp. We fight through the Draugr, cutting them down until we reach the final, chamber of the wing. A coffin bursts open. This is Guardian Saerek. He is a named Draugr Deathlord, but he moves with a speed that defies his dried-up muscles. He wields an ebony greatsword and shouts with the force of a cannon, "Fusro da!" We are thrown backward, crashing into the stone wall. Saerek doesn't wait. He charges while we are down. This is the first half of the gauntlet. We must defeat him to claim his skull. Yes, literally his skull. The Torsten skull and Saerek's skull are the keys. It is a gruesome mechanic. We aren't just taking a key from his belt, we are decapitating the warden to open the cell. We defeat Saerek after a brutal melee exchange. We take the skull. It feels heavy, significant. We cross the main hall to the right wing, the crypts. Here the air is dry and dusty. We reach the end. Another coffin explodes. This is Guardian Torsten. He is Saerek's mirror. A towering figure with an ebony war axe and a shield. He is the anvil to Saerek's hammer. He plays defensively, blocking our strikes and bashing us with his shield to stagger us. He uses the disarm shout, ripping our weapon from our hands. Suddenly we are scrambling on the floor looking for our sword while a 7-foot undead Nord tries to split our head open. The relationship between these two is the subject of much speculation. Were they brothers, rivals, or just the two most loyal lieutenants of Otar? The fact that they are named implies status. They weren't just guards, they were individuals, and they have spent eternity in separate wings of the same temple, listening to the madness of their master in the main hall, never able to see each other. There is a tragedy in their existence. They are the keys to Otar. Their entire purpose in Undeath is to be killed. They are walking lock mechanisms. By defeating them, we are fulfilling their function. We strike Torsten down. We take his skull. We return to the main chamber, holding the heads of the two guardians. The sarcophagus waits. Otar is screaming now, sensing the end of his imprisonment. We place the skulls into the sockets. The locks click, the lid falls. The ash of Solstheim has a way of burying the truth. We leave the smoking ruin of Kolbjorn Barrow, the heat of Azidal's fire still clinging to our armour, and turn our eyes toward the settlement of Raven Rock. To the casual visitor, this town is a depressing outpost of House Redoran, a cluster of grey buildings clinging to a dying economy. The villagers speak of the mine in hushed, bitter tones. They call it dried up, a failure, a hole in the ground that swallowed their livelihoods and gave nothing back. But we know that the mine isn't empty, it's just occupied. We walk past the sullen guards and the complaining miners, approaching the boarded-up entrance of the Raven Rock mine. Breaking through the wooden barricades feels like an act of vandalism, a violation of the town's collective resignation. The air inside is stale, smelling of old sweat and ancient dust. For the first few hundred feet, it looks exactly like what the locals claim it to be, a depleted ebony mine littered with broken pickaxes and empty carts. But then, the architecture changes. The rough-hewn tunnels of the miners give way to the precise, heavy stonework of the ancient Nords. We are no longer in a mine. We are in a barrow that the mine accidentally intersected. This is Bloodscale Barrow, a place that doesn't appear on the maps of the modern era. The silence deepens. The Draugr here are not the mindless shufflers of the surface. They are the honour guard of a clan long forgotten. We fight our way through the initial chambers, the corridors tight and claustrophobic, until we reach a large circular room. In the centre, slumped against a podium, is a skeleton. This is Gratian Corellius, the great-grandfather of the man who sent us down here. Beside him lies his journal, a testament to a failed expedition, and more importantly the key to proceeding. We pick up the weapon lying next to his bony hand, the Bloodscale blade. It is a magnificent two-handed greatsword, unlike anything forged in the Skyforge. The metal is dark, almost black, but it pulses with a vein of red energy that seems to breathe. When we swing it, it doesn't just cut the air, it sings. A wave of crimson energy, a literal arc of force, flies from the blade, illuminating the dark room in a harsh strobe light red. This weapon is the core in-game fact of the dungeon. It is one of the few weapons in Skyrim that functions as a puzzle tool. The massive stone door ahead of us is sealed not by a claw or a lever, but by magic that responds to the blade's energy. Vertical cracks and horizontal fissures glow on the archway, To open the path, we must swing the sword in the correct alignment. Power attacking while moving sideways for a horizontal wave, standing still for a vertical one. It is a rhythmic, almost ceremonial process. Swing, crack, swing, crack. The stone groans, the mechanisms shifting for the first time in eras. It feels like we are performing a ritual dance, proving our competency to the guardian waiting within. The final lock disengages with a heavy thud, and the great doors grind open. A blast of damp, electrified air hits us. We step through into a cavern so vast it rivals the main chamber of Blackreach. This is the inner sanctum. A massive subterranean lake fills the cavern, the black water still and glassy. Stone walkways crisscross the abyss, connecting ancient platforms. Waterfalls pour from the mouths of dragon statues high above, their roar echoing in the gloom. But our eyes are drawn to the centre of the lake, to a figure hovering silently over the dark water. This is Zakrisos. The final member of the Solstheim triad has been waiting. His name, in the dragon tongue, translates to Sword Blood Mortal. It is a violent, visceral title, suggesting a priest whose authority was enforced through direct bloody execution. Unlike Azidal, who was a master of fire and madness, or Dukaan, who commanded the slow death of the frost, Zakrisos is the master of the storm. He commands the element of shock. As we step onto the walkway, he senses us. The cavern instantly lights up with a blinding flash. A bolt of lightning, thick as a tree trunk, arcs from his hands and slams into the stone inches from our feet. The sound is deafening, a crack of thunder that rattles our teeth. Zakrisos is a level 60 dragon priest, and he is arguably the most tactically difficult of the three to fight because of the environment. He hovers over the water. This is a nightmare for melee characters. You cannot run up to him, you have to wait for him to float near a walkway, or you have to engage him at range. And engaging a shock mage at range is a losing proposition for most. Shock magic in Skyrim has a unique property. It drains magicka. Every bolt that hits us saps our ability to cast spells. For a mage dragonborn, this is debilitating. You find yourself silenced, your blue bar empty, frantically trying to switch to a backup weapon while lightning fries your robes. But even for warriors, the lightning is dangerous. It travels instantly. There is no travel time to dodge like with a fireball or an ice spike. You see the flash, and you take the damage. The obscure lore of this encounter lies in the environmental storytelling of the Bloodscale clan. We used their blade to get in. This implies a deep connection between the clan and the priest. Were the Bloodscale family the original jailers of Zakrisos, tasked with keeping him sealed away using the only key that worked? Or were they his loyal servants, the elite vanguard who wielded his red energy weapons in battle? The fact that the blade opens the door from the outside suggests the latter. It wasn't a seal to keep him in, it was a lock to keep thieves out. The Bloodscale clan likely worshipped Zakrisos, bringing him offerings or awaiting his commands. Grecian Corellius didn't die because he was unworthy. He died because he didn't know the dance. He didn't understand that the weapon was a key. The battle rages on the narrow bridges. Zakrisos casts Lightning Storm, a master-level destruction spell that fires a continuous beam of disintegration. We are forced to sprint from cover to cover, hiding behind the pillars of the walkways. If we fall into the water, it's effectively game over. The water slows us down, making us a sitting duck for the priest's precision strikes. And logically, though the game mechanics don't always enforce it, being submerged in water while a demigod shoots electricity at you is a recipe for instant soup. We draw the Bloodscale blade. It feels poetic to use the key as the executioner's axe. We time our swings, sending waves of red energy across the gap. The red arcs collide with the blue lightning, a visual cacophony of magic. Sero meets Thunderbolt. The cavern strobes with conflicting colours, casting long, erratic shadows against the wet walls. Zakrisos is resilient. He wears a mask, also named Zakrisos, that grants 50% resistance to shock and boosts shock damage by 25%. It makes him nearly immune to our own lightning spells. We have to rely on physical damage or fire. We use the slow time shout, watching the lightning bolts crawl through the air, giving us just enough time to loose an arrow or close the distance. Finally, the priest falters. A heavy blow connects, shattering his magical ward. He spins in the air, his robes flapping in the magical wind, and disintegrates. His body turns to ash, drifting down into the black water below. The thunder stops. The only sound left is the rushing of the waterfalls and the heavy breathing of the Dragonborn. We navigate the walkways to the platform where he hovered. We retrieve the mask. It is heavy, cold, and crackles slightly to the touch, as if it still holds a charge. We now possess the complete set: Azidal's fire, Dukaan's frost, and Zakrisos' storm. We are the master of the elements on Solstheim, but Zakrisos was guarding more than just his own mask. Behind his floating station, on a raised dais, lies a thick, ominous book. The cover is made of strange, chitinous material that looks like stretched skin. It hums with a low, dissonant vibration. This is a black book, the Winds of Change. It is an artifact of Hermaeus Mora, the Daedric Prince of Knowledge and Fate. Its presence here explains everything. Zakrisos wasn't just a priest, he was a gatekeeper. He was guarding a portal to Apocrypha. The dragon cult, in its hunger for dominion, had treated with the Gardener of Men, exchanging servitude for forbidden knowledge. Zakrisos, the sword-blood mortal, was the warden of this pact. He spent thousands of years hovering over that black lake, staring at the book, perhaps reading it, perhaps terrified of it. The Winds of Change is a fitting title for a book guarded by a shock mage. Lightning is the harbinger of the storm, the sudden, violent change in the atmosphere. Opening the book drags us into the realm of tentacles and ink, but we resist the pull for now. We have accomplished our mission here. We have cleared the mine. The villagers of Raven Rock will be pleased to know the Draugr infestation is gone, though they will never understand the magnitude of the threat that was actually down here. They worried about walking corpses. They should have worried about the High Priest of the Storm God. We trudge back up the long tunnel, the Bloodskull blade strapped to our back. It feels heavier now, its purpose fulfilled. We step out into the grey light of Solstheim, the ash swirling around us. The island is conquered. The 3 masks are ours. But the mainland of Skyrim calls to us. There are secrets there that make the Solstheim priests look like regional managers. There is a test waiting for us in the ruins of the ancient capital, a test devised by the greatest human mage who ever lived. We head to the docks. We are leaving the ash behind. We are going to Winterhold. Most students of the college go to class. They learn to cast a ward. They burn a few targets. They listen to Tolfdir talk about safety. But we are not students. We are the Dragonborn, and we're going to the place where the archmages are forged. We're going to Labyrinthian. This massive ruin is a city of the dead, a place where the dragon cult once held court. But tucked away in the shadow of the main temple is a smaller, unassuming dome. It looks like a garden feature, a folly. But inside lies a challenge that has humbled wizards for centuries. We are entering Shalidor's maze, and at the centre of it, a guardian is waiting who doesn't care about our shouts or our armour. He only cares if we have done our homework. We arrive at Labyrinthian, the ancient capital of the dragon cult. The wind howls through the broken arches of this massive ruin, carrying the ghosts of the past. For most players, this place is a frantic sprint. You come here during the College of Winterhold questline, terrified of the skeletal dragon, chugging potions to survive Meroki's lightning, and focused entirely on retrieving the Staff of Magnus. You run through the main thoroughfare, dodging trolls, your eyes fixed on the quest marker, and in your haste you run right past the final exam. Tucked away in the southern ruins, separate from the main dungeon entrance, lies a semicircular dome. It looks unassuming, almost decorative, like a park pavilion for the cultists of old. But inside lies Shalidor's maze. This isn't a dungeon in the traditional sense. It's a classroom. But because this is Skyrim, the pencils are sharp enough to kill you, and the teacher is a demon from another dimension. We enter the maze. The walls are high, grey stone covered in moss. The layout is deceptive. It's not just about finding the left or right turn, it's about proving your magical versatility. Shalidor, the legendary archmage of the First Era, didn't believe in participation trophies. He believed that if you wanted to call yourself a mage, you had to master all the schools of magic, not just the one that makes things explode. At the entrance and scattered throughout the maze we find 4 staves, a staff of mage light, a staff of firebolts, a staff of fear, and a staff of repulsion. These aren't random loot drops, they are the keys. Throughout the maze we encounter strange sigils on the walls. To open the shutters and progress, or to trigger the next phase, we must cast the correct spell from the correct staff on the correct sigil. It is a mechanical test of the schools, alteration to change the reality of the path, destruction to clear the obstacles, illusion to manipulate the environment, and restoration to, well, mostly to keep yourself alive when the traps go off. It feels academic, a physical puzzle designed to weed out the brute force mages who only know how to dual cast Incinerate. We navigate the twisting corridors. The silence is heavy here, broken only by the sound of our own footsteps and the occasional crackle of magic as a shutter opens. We are walking in the footsteps of the greatest wizards of history. Every archmage of Winterhold likely walked this path, sweating under their robes, praying they remembered which sigil meant illusion. Finally the walls fall away. We reach the centre of the labyrinth. The test of the mind is over. The test of the body begins. The air in the central glade shimmers. The fabric of reality tears open, not with the gentle hum of a portal, but with the violent red tear of oblivion. A summoning circle ignites on the ground. Shalidor's Dremora steps through. He is not a generic Dremora Valkenaz you might find at a Daedric shrine. He has a specific title, a specific purpose. He is the Proctor. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. He draws a greatsword that burns with hellfire, and his hand glows with the light of a high-level destruction spell. This is the boss fight. It is a duel. The arena is tight, enclosed by the high walls of the maze. There is no high ground to exploit, no pillars to cheese him around. It is you and him, face to face. He fights with the disciplined aggression of a Dremora. He closes the distance instantly, forcing ranged characters to panic. If you try to run, he hits you with a fireball to the back. If you stand and fight, he power attacks with the greatsword, staggering you. The fight is a frantic exchange of blows and spells. It feels personal. This Dremora has likely killed hundreds of aspiring mages over the millennia. He is the gatekeeper of the title. You're just another student to fail. But why is he here? This brings us to the obscure lore of the section. Shalidor is a figure of immense legend. He is said to have built the city of Winterhold with a whispered spell. He fought the Dwemer clan Rorken. He stole the secret of life from Akatosh, allegedly. But his most defining trait was his elitism. He famously coined the phrase, "Magnus paid dearly for us to wield this power. We should not squander it on the weak." Binding a Dremora as the final guardian is the ultimate expression of this philosophy. A Dremora is a creature of pure power and hierarchy. By defeating it, you prove that you are dominant not just in the mortal realm, but that your will can suppress the forces of oblivion. It suggests that Shalidor viewed magic as a weapon of dominance. To be an archmage is to be a conqueror of realities. When the Dremora finally falls, banishing back to the Deadlands with a guttural roar, the maze falls silent. We have passed. We look to where he stood. The reward is waiting. It isn't a pile of gold or a random enchanted sword. It is the diadem of the savant. This circlet is a unique item in the game. It looks like a standard jeweled circlet, but its enchantment is subtle and powerful. It reduces the magicka cost of all spells by 5%. Now 5% sounds small. Gamers love big numbers. We want 25% cheaper destruction, or +50 magicka. But the community debate around this item is fascinating. The min-maxers will tell you it's trash, that you can enchant a better helmet yourself with level 100 enchanting. And they are right, mathematically. But the lore-play community loves it. It is the only item in the game that boosts versatility. It represents the true master mage, the one who uses all 5 schools seamlessly. It is also one of the few circlets that counts as light armor, in some versions patches, allowing mages to benefit from armor perks without wearing a helmet that ruins their aesthetic. It is a symbol of status. You wear it not because it's the strongest item, but because it proves you beat the maze. You are a wee savant. We place the diadem on our head. We feel a little smarter, a little more legitimate. We have engaged with the history of our guild. We leave Labyrinthian, walking out past the trolls we ignored earlier. The snow is falling gently on the ruins. We are done with school. We are ready for the deep history. We are ready to hunt the jailers. We check our map. Far to the west, in the jagged, treacherous mountains of the Reach, lies a temple that doesn't get many visitors. It is called Ragnvald. The Reach is a harsh land, filled with forsworn who want to turn our ribcage into a wind chime. We navigate the crags and the goat paths until we find the entrance. It is grand, imposing, cut deep into the rock. This is not a cave, it is a fortress. We enter Ragnvald. The door booms shut behind us. The silence here is different. It isn't the scholarly silence of the maze, it is the oppressive silence of a prison. We step into the main antechamber. It is vast, vaulted, and dominated by a massive stone structure in the centre. It is a sarcophagus, but it is sealed tight with iron bands and ancient magic. There are no levers. There are no pull chains. Instead, there are two sockets. They are shaped like human skulls. From inside the sarcophagus, a voice speaks. It is not the hissing of a draugr, it is a voice of power, cracked by madness. Come closer, break the seals. This is Otar the Mad. He is taunting us. He wants to be free, but to free him, we have to kill his wardens. We look to the left and right. Corridors branch off into the dark. These are the wings of the prison, the canal, and the crypts. In each wing, a guardian waits. These are not random bosses. They are the keys. We head left first, into the canal. The air gets damp, water trickles down the walls. We fight through the lower-level draugr, the trash mobs, meant to weaken us. We reach the final chamber of the wing. It is a dead end. A single, ornate coffin stands against the wall. It bursts open. This is Guardian Sarek. He is a named draugr Deathlord, but he is faster, angrier. He wields a massive ebony greatsword. He doesn't just swing, he dances. He uses shouts, disarm, unrelenting force. The fight is a brawl in a phone booth. The room is small, and he takes up a lot of space. He is the first key. We are here for his head. There is a grim realization as we trade blows. Sarek has been here for thousands of years. Was he a jailer, tasked with keeping Otar locked away? Or was he a loyal servant, sealing himself in to guard his master's rest? The fact that Otar is the Mad suggests Sarek was a hero. He sacrificed his life, his death, and his eternity to keep a monster in a box. And we are here to undo it. We strike him down. He crumbles into dust. We loot the body. We take Sarek's skull key. It is a gruesome trophy. We are holding the physical remains of a guardian's duty. We leave the canal and cross the main hall. Otar laughs at us as we pass. One lock. Remains? We enter the crypts. The air is dry here, smelling of dust and preservation. We push through to the end. The second coffin opens. This is Guardian Torsten. He is the counterpart. Where Sarek had a sword, Torsten has a war axe and a shield. He is the wall. He bashes, he blocks, he staggers. He is a tank. The fight is slower, more methodical. You have to wait for an opening, have to break his guard. Torsten is the second key. We defeat him. We take Torsten's skull key. We return to the main hall. We stand before the sarcophagus. We have the heads of the two men who gave everything to keep this door shut. And like the loot-hungry adventurers we are going to open it. We place the skulls in the sockets. The mechanisms click. The iron bands snap open. The lid falls with a crash that shakes the floor. Lightning explodes from the tomb. Otar the Mad rises. He is an elemental powerhouse, wielding a staff of lightning. But he is unique among dragon priests because he resists everything. His mask, Otar, grants 30% resistance to fire, frost, and shock. He is a tank mage. The fight is chaotic. We are dodging lightning bolts, trying to whittle down his massive health bar. But the real weight of the fight is the context. We killed the good guys, Sarek and Torsten, to release the bad guy, just so we could kill him too and take his mask. We are a walking natural disaster, cleaning out the dungeon not for justice but for completion. When Otar falls, we take his mask. It is one of the best general-purpose defensive helms in the game. We look around the empty temple. The voice is gone. The guardians are gone. Ragnvald is truly silent now. We leave the Reach. The wind feels fresh after the stale air of the tomb. We check our list. We have fought dragons, priests, giants, and ghosts. But there is a creature that defies categorization. A creature that uses a mechanic so unique, it feels like a mod. We travel south, to the pine forests of Falkreath. We are looking for a small cave near the border, Haldir's Cairn. Most people miss this cave. It looks like any other hole in the ground. But outside there are 3 graves, and inside there is a light that shouldn't be there. A purple, unnatural glow. We step inside. The air is thick with magic. We are hunting a ghost who knows how to be in 3 places at once. The wind whipping through the peaks of the Reach is distinct from the blizzards of Winterhold. It carries the scent of juniper and wet stone, but also a metallic tang of blood, likely courtesy of the forsworn who claim these crags. We have left the scholarly trials of Labyrinthian behind, trading the academic tests of Shalidor for a much more brutal examination of endurance. We are climbing high into the mountains north of Markarth, to a temple carved into the very spine of the world. We are standing before Ragnvald. To the casual explorer, Ragnvald is just another map marker, a destination for a radiant quest to retrieve a lost shield or a kidnapped citizen. But to the lore hunter, Ragnvald is a unique architectural anomaly. It is not a city nor a tomb in the traditional sense. It is a supermax prison designed to hold a single inmate. As we push open the massive stone doors, the silence that greets us is heavy, pressurized. The main chamber is vast, vaulted with the high arches typical of the dragon cult's peak architectural era. But unlike other temples where the path leads linear deeper into the earth, Ragnvald presents us with the central hub. In the middle of the room, raised on a dais like a grotesque altar, is a stone sarcophagus. It is sealed with bands of iron and ancient enchantments. There are no levers to pull, no pull chains hiding in the shadows. Instead, staring back at us from the stone face of the tomb are 2 empty sockets. They are shaped, unmistakably, like human skulls. From within the stone box a voice speaks. It is not the mindless hiss of a draugr. It is articulate, dripping with a madness that has fermented for thousands of years. Unbound. I shall be unbound. This is Otar the Mad. He is the prisoner, but he is not our target, not yet. To get to him, we must first deal with his jailers. The temple is divided into 2 separate wings, the canal and the crypts. In each wing, a guardian waits. These are not nameless mobs. These are Cyrek and Torsten. We head left, into the canal. The atmosphere shifts immediately. The air grows damp, the sound of trickling water echoing off the walls. This wing was likely an aqueduct or a ritual bathing area in the ancient days, but now it is a gauntlet of wet rot. We fight our way through the lower ranks of the draugr, the trash mobs stationed here to slow us down. But as we reach the final chamber of the wing, the air stiffens. A coffin bursts open with a violence that scatters dust and debris. This is Guardian Sarek. Sarek is a draugr deathlord, but he is a unique variant. He moves with a fluidity that defies the rigor mortis of his kind. He wields an ebony greatsword, a weapon of black glass that hums with deadly intent. In the confined space of the canal chamber, he is a terrifying opponent. He is aggressive, relentless, closing the distance instantly to negate any ranged advantage we might have. But what makes Sarek distinct is the lore implication of his existence. He is a named draugr. In the hierarchy of the dragon cult, names were power. To keep your name in death meant you were significant. Sarek was likely a high-ranking officer, a general or a priest in his own right, and yet his eternal reward was not a throne, but a guard post. He has spent eras waiting in this damp room, holding a key that opens the box in the main hall. The fight is a brutal exchange of parries and power attacks. Sarek uses the unrelenting force shout, blasting us back into the damp walls. He fights like a man who knows that his death is the only way to fulfill his duty. When he finally falls, crumbling into a pile of dust and armour, we loot the body. We don't just take his gold or his sword, we take Sarek's skull key. It is a gruesome, visceral mechanic. We are literally decapitating the warden to unlock the cell. Holding the skull in our inventory, we can feel the weight of the ritual. This wasn't a simple lock, it was a blood pact. Sarek's life force and his death force was the seal. We return to the main chamber. Otar taunts us again, his voice echoing from the sarcophagus. He senses the first key. He knows the door is unlocking. We cross the hall to the right wing, the crypts. Here, the dampness vanishes, replaced by the dry, choking dust of preservation. This wing is a maze of burial niches, a catacomb for the lesser dead. We carve a path through the restless draugr until we reach the sanctum of the second warden. The coffin lid flies off. This is Guardian Torsten. If Sarek was the sword, Torsten is the shield. He towers over us, wielding a massive ebony war axe and a heavy shield. He is the tank to Sarek's DPS. Torsten fights defensively, bashing us with his shield to stagger us, then following up with crushing overhead swings. He uses the disarm shout, ripping the weapon from our hands and forcing us to scramble across the floor like a novice. The duality of these two guardians is a fascinating piece of environmental storytelling. They are mirror images, offense and defense, damp and dry, left and right. Were they brothers, rivals, or were they the only two men Otar trusted? There is a darker theory, one debated by law scholars. Otar is known as the Mad. It is said that his madness was so great that even the dragons could not control him. Zarek and Torsten might not have been his servants. They might have been heroes who sacrificed themselves to seal him away. By becoming undead guardians, they ensured that Otar would never escape, because the keys to his prison were guarded by immortals who would never sleep. If this theory holds, then we, the Dragonborn, are the villains of this dungeon. We are breaking the seal. We are killing the eternal jailers just to see what's inside the box. We are undoing a sacrifice that has kept the Reach safe for 4,000 years. We strike Torsten down. The heavy thud of his body hitting the stone floor signals the end of the security system. We take Torsten's skull key. We trudge back to the main antechamber. The silence is different now. The ambient noise of the guardians, the shuffling, the breathing, is gone. The temple feels truly dead. We approach the sarcophagus. Otar is screaming now, a cacophony of ancient Nord curses and triumphant laughter. We place Sarek's skull in the left socket. Click. We place Torsten's skull in the right socket. Thud. The iron bands hiss as the magic disengages. The heavy stone lid of the sarcophagus grinds open, pushing outward. Lightning explodes from the tomb. Otar the Mad rises. He floats out of his prison wreathed in electricity. He is a dragon priest of the highest order, but he is unique mechanically. Most priests specialize in one element. Azidal is fire, Dukaan is frost. Otar is the master of resistance. His mask, the eponymous Otar, grants 30% resistance to fire, frost, and shock. He is a walking tank. Because of this, he is incredibly difficult to hurt with magic. Fireballs wash over him, ice spikes shatter harmlessly on his robes. He forces a magical duel of attrition. He wields a staff of the storm wall, spraying lightning across the room, turning the floor into a deadly hazard. The fight is chaotic. We are dodging lightning, trying to find a weakness in his defences. Otar fights with the desperation of a man who has been locked in a box for millennia. He is insane, unpredictable, moving erratically. When he finally falls, turning to ash on the dais where he was imprisoned, the silence that returns to Ragnvald is absolute. We pick up his mask. It is a heavy metallic faceplate, one of the most useful defensive items in the game for a generalist build. But looking around the empty room, with the two empty guardian coffins in the wings and the open box in the centre, the victory feels hollow. We have emptied the prison. The mad priest is dead, yes, but so are the stalwarts who kept him there. Ragnvald is no longer a jail. It is just a ruin. We leave the temple, the biting wind of the Reach cooling the sweat on our brow. We check our map. We have dealt with the ancient past, with the Draugr and the priests, but there are threats in Skyrim that are not thousands of years old. Some are very recent, some are ghosts of our own making. We travel south now, leaving the rocky crags for the pine forests of Falkreath. We are looking for a cave that glows with a light that shouldn't exist in nature. A cave where a soul has been split into three. We stand before the mouth of the cave, the damp air of Falkreath clinging to our cloaks. This hold is known as the Graveyard of Skyrim, a forest of eternal twilight where the mist never quite lifts and the moss grows thick over the headstones of the forgotten. But even here, among the endless barrows and the necromancers practicing in the woods, there is a place that the locals avoid not out of superstition, but out of a primal, instinctive dread. This is Haldir's Cairn. Most adventurers stumble upon it by accident, perhaps while chasing a stag or taking a shortcut near the Cyrodiil border. It looks unassuming from the road, just another hole in the cliff face. But as we step closer, we notice the details that set it apart. Outside the entrance there are fresh graves, hastily dug. Inside, the air does not smell of the dry, dusty rot of the ancient dead. It smells of ozone and fresh magic. And then there is the light. In Skyrim, dungeons are usually lit by the orange flicker of torches or the blue glow of mage light. Haldir's cairn is bathed in a sickly, vibrant violet. It is a colour that signals unnatural tampering, a hue often associated with the soul cairn or the darker arts of conjuration. We're not entering a tomb, we're entering a battery. We step into the initial cavern. The silence is heavy, broken only by the drip of water and the hum of the purple pillar of light shooting up from the centre of the room towards the ceiling. This is the cairn itself, a magical focus point. Environmental storytelling is scattered around us. The bodies of bandits who thought this would be an easy loot run, now drained of their essence. The journal of a mage named Agrius, detailing his slow descent into madness as he heard the voice of the master calling to him. We push deeper, fighting through the guardians. These are not just Draugr. They are Haldir's Draugr, thralls bound specifically to his will. They glow with that same violet energy. The dungeon design is vertical, a spiral descent into the earth that feels like we are walking down the throat of something that is slowly swallowing us. Finally, we reach the main chamber. It is a wide, open cavern with a pool of water in the centre and a raised stone platform. The purple light is blinding here, strobing against the wet rock walls, and standing in the centre, bathed in the energy of the souls he has consumed, is the master of the house. This is Haldir. Haldir is a unique boss, a high-level Draugr caster who defies the standard archetypes of his kind. He doesn't just spam frostbite or swing an ebony sword. He fights with a mechanic that is rare in Skyrim, a glimpse of a more complex combat system that Bethesda toyed with. As we engage him, the fight starts typically enough. He casts powerful destruction magic, using the staff in his hand to fling bolts of energy. But as we whittle his health down, he does something unexpected. He doesn't go into a downed state or drink a potion. He vanishes. The room plunges into semi-darkness, and then 3 pillars of light erupt on the pedestals surrounding the platform. Haldir reappears, but there are 3 of him. This is the soul split. He divides his essence into 3 distinct elemental clones, one burning with fire, one wreathed in frost, and one crackling with lightning. They are not illusions, they are tangible, dangerous entities that attack simultaneously. The battlefield transforms into a chaotic rave of destruction magic. We are forced to dance between fireballs, ice spikes, and lightning bolts, the purple light flickering wildly with every impact. This phase of the fight is a frantic test of target prioritization. Do you focus on the frost clone to stop the stamina drain? Do you take out the lightning clone to save your magicka? Or do you try to burn them all down with area of effect spells? The clones are fragile, but their combined output is lethal. It is a moment where the game demands situational awareness, forcing the Dragonborn to stop tunneling on a single health bar and look at the room as a whole. The lore behind Haldir is shrouded in mystery, hidden in the book, The Legend of Haldir. It suggests he was an ancient Nord tongue, a wielder of the voice, who was banished or fled from society. But unlike the dragon priests who sought to rule, Haldir sought to survive. He discovered a way to tether his soul to the mortal plane not through lichdom, but through the consumption of other souls. The cairn is his web, and he is the spider. The purple light is the visual manifestation of this soul siphon magic, a unique school of necromancy that likely draws from the ideal masters of the soul cairn. When we finally shatter the clones and strike the true form down, Haldir dissolves. His ghost rises briefly from the corpse, looking at us not with malice, but with relief. "I am released," he whispers. It is a classic Skyrim tragedy. The monster we just fought was also a prisoner of his own immortality, trapped in a cycle of feeding and splitting for centuries. We loot the staff of Haldir from his remains. It is a unique weapon that can calm enemies, pacify, while simultaneously trapping their souls. It is a fitting tool for a man who lured victims in with quiet whispers before consuming them. It is a weapon of insidious peace. We leave the purple glow of the cairn, stepping back out into the grey mist of Falkreath. The air feels cleaner now, the oppressive magic lifted. We have cleared the dungeon, but our inventory is heavy with loot, ancient Nord weapons, gems, and the staff. We need to sell. We make our way to the road, heading towards the nearest city. The sun is beginning to set, casting long shadows across the cobblestones. We are feeling the complacency of the high-level adventurer. We have slain dragons, banished Daedra, and put down ancient ghosts. The roads should be safe, but the roads of Skyrim are never truly empty. As we round a Bend, perhaps near the rift or on the way to Whiterun, we see a group of travellers. They look organised, well equipped. At their head walks a Dunmer in distinctive red and grey robes. He spots us. He stops. His eyes lock onto the headgear we are wearing, the ethereal crown, or perhaps the shield on our back. His face twists. It is a look of recognition, followed instantly by a look of pure, unadulterated hatred. This is Tarandreth. For players who haven't completed the Dawnguard DLC quest Lost to the Ages, this man is a nobody. But for us, for the lore masters who spent hours helping the ghost of Catria unlock the secrets of the Ethereum Forge, this man is the villain of the story. Tarandreth is the scholar who stole Catria's lifework. He is the plagiarist who took her research on the ancient Dwemer mineral Ethereum, published it as his own in the book The Ethereum Wars, and left her to die in disgrace. We spent the entire quest listening to Catria's lament, seeing the proof of her genius, and finally helping her achieve from beyond the grave what she couldn't in life. We forged the ethereal item, and she faded away, finally at peace. We thought the story was over. We thought Tarandreth was just a name in a book, a background character who got away with it. But here he is. You! That's Ethereum! Where did you find that? Tell me, he barks, his voice trembling with a mix of greed and fear. When he realises that you have found the forge, the very thing he claimed to have discovered but never actually did, his facade crumbles. He knows that his reputation, his entire career, is built on a lie that you can now expose. He cannot let you live. No, I won't let you take this from me. I am the world's leading expert on Ethereum. He attacks. This is one of the only boss fights in Skyrim that occurs completely unscripted in the open world. There is no dungeon, no arena. It happens on the grass, on the dirt road, amidst the rabbits and the wandering goats. Tarandreth is a master-level destruction mage. He unleashes torrents of fire and lightning. His mercenaries, who are clearly being paid a premium to keep his secrets, charge with steel and heavy armour. The fight is chaotic and fast. Fireballs explode against the trees, arrows whiz past our heads. But the satisfaction of this battle is not mechanical, it is narrative. Every blow we land feels like justice for Catria. We are the executors of her posthumous revenge. We are smashing the ego of a man who thought he could steal history. When Tarandreth falls, face down in the mud of the road he sought to rule, there is a profound sense of closure. We loot his body. He carries a unique set of robes, standard master robes in appearance but unique in ID, and often a hefty amount of gold. But the real loot is the irony. We leave his body on the side of the road, a world-renowned scholar killed by his own greed, forgotten by history, while we walk away wearing the crown he spent his life chasing. The sun has fully set now. The moons, Massa and Secunda, are rising huge and pale in the night sky. The road stretches on, quiet once more. We are tired. The battles with Haldir and Tarandreth have drained our magicka and dulled our blades. We are looking for a place to rest, or perhaps just a quiet spot to watch the aurora. But up ahead, standing alone in a clearing by the roadside, is a figure. He is not a bandit lying in ambush. He's not a soldier on patrol. He's an orc clad in heavy iron armour standing over the bodies of two saber cats. He isn't looting them. He's just staring at the horizon, waiting. We approach him, weapon sheathed. He turns to look at us. His face is lined with deep scars, his tusks chipped and yellowed. He has the eyes of a warrior who has seen too many winters. "I am waiting," he says, his voice like grinding stones, "for a good death." This is not a quest marker. This is a request. The road leading away from Haldir's cairn is shrouded in the twilight gloom that seems permanent in Falkreath Hold. We have banished the soul-splitting ghost, cleansed the cave of its violet corruption, and stuffed our inventory with loot. We are feeling the specific kind of confidence that comes with high-level play, the feeling that we are the apex predator of the province. Dragons are just leather sources, giants are just tow dispensers. We are walking along the road, perhaps heading toward Riften or Whiterun to sell our spoils, when we see a group of travellers approaching. At first glance they look like a standard random encounter. Maybe it's the vigilance of Stendar hunting Daedra, or perhaps a noble on the way to a wedding. But as they get closer, we notice the red and grey robes of the leader. He is a Dunmer, a dark elf with a haughty intellectual bearing. He's flanked by 3 heavily armed mercenaries, sellswords who look like they charge by the limb. The Dunmer stops. He looks at us. His eyes drift up to our head. He freezes. If you were wearing the ethereal crown, the ethereal shield, or wielding the ethereal staff, the unique rewards from the Lost to the Ages questline, his reaction is instantaneous. His face, previously composed in a mask of arrogance, crumples into a mixture of shock, recognition, and pure, venomous rage. You, that's Ethereum. Where did you find that? Tell me. This is Tarandreth. To the uninitiated, this is just a rude elf, but to the lore-savvy dragonborn, this man is a monster worse than any Draugr. Tarandreth is the antagonist of a story that ended before we even arrived. He is the former colleague of Catria, the ghost we befriended in the ruins of Arkenthams. Let's recall the backstory, because it gives this fight its emotional weight. Catria was a brilliant scholar, a woman who dedicated her life to finding the Ethereum Forge, the lost Dwemer facility capable of crafting items of immense power. Tarandreth was her student, her partner. But when she made her breakthroughs, he stole her journals. He took her research, published it under his own name in the book The Ethereum Wars, and became famous. He was toasted in the universities of the Empire as the world's leading expert on Dwemer history. Catria, disgraced and discredited, went on one final desperate expedition to prove her theories. She died alone in a ruin, falling from a cliff, her name forgotten. Tarandreth lived on, basking in stolen glory. We spent hours with Catria's ghost. We helped her solve the tonal locks. We fought through the lava and the machines. We forged the crown. We saw her fade away, finally finding peace in the knowledge that she was right. And now, here is the plagiarist, in the flesh. The interaction is short but charged with narrative satisfaction. Tarandreth realizes in a split second what your presence means. You have the item. You found the forge. That means his book is a lie. That means his reputation is forfeit. If you're allowed to live to walk into the College of Winterhold wearing that crown, he will be exposed as a fraud. No, I won't let you take this from me. I am the world's leading expert on Ethereum. He doesn't wait for a dialogue wheel, he attacks. This is a rare open-world boss. Tarandreth is not tethered to a dungeon. He wanders the roads of Skyrim, a mobile encounter that can happen anywhere. He is a master-level destruction mage, and he hits with the force of a glass cannon. He unleashes thunderbolts and incinerate spells that can two-shot an unprepared player. His mercenaries are no joke either. They are leveled melee fighters who rush you while Dreth bombards you from a distance. The fight is chaotic because it takes place in the wild. A passing bear might join in, a dragon might swoop down. You're fighting a wizard war in the middle of traffic. But the real joy of this fight is the justice of it. Every fireball you dodge, every strike you land feels like a blow for Catria. It is a proxy revenge. Tarandreth is fighting for his ego. We are fighting for the truth. He screams as he fights, desperate, terrified. It's mine! It's all mine! He's a man consumed by his own deception. He believes his own lie so thoroughly that he is willing to kill the Dragonborn to protect it. When the final blow lands, perhaps a shout that sends him flying into a tree, or a clean slice of a blade, Tarandreth falls. He dies face down in the dirt, far from the universities and the applause he craved. We loot his body. He carries a set of Tarandreth's robes. They look like standard master robes of destruction, but they are a unique item ID, a trophy for the collector. He often carries a significant amount of gold, the profits of his fraudulent book sales. But the most poignant item is often found on him or nearby, a copy of the Ethereum Wars, the book he wrote, the book that started it all. We pick it up, we read the author's name, and then we drop it in the mud. Leaving his body for the wolves feels like the correct burial. History will not remember Tarandreth, but we, wearing the ethereal crown that glows with the blue light of the Dwemer, are living proof of the woman he tried to erase. The sun begins to set as we walk away from the encounter. The sky turns a bruised purple, then a deep, starry black. The adrenaline of the ambush fades, replaced by a deep weariness. We have fought so many battles. We have corrected the mistakes of the past and killed the monsters of the present. The road stretches on, winding through the tundra. We are looking for a place to rest, a campfire, a moment of peace. But up ahead, standing by the side of the road, is a solitary figure. He's not a mage, he's not a ghost. He's an orc clad in heavy armour, standing over the fresh kills of two saber cats. He's looking at the moons, Massa and Secunda, with a look of profound patience. He doesn't attack us. He waits for us to approach. This is not a quest. This is the end of the road. The road is quiet. The birds have settled into the pines for the night, and the only sound is the rhythmic chirp of crickets and the gentle rustle of the wind through the grass. We have just left the corpse of Tarandreth, a man consumed by vanity and greed, rotting in the ditch. The contrast between that frantic, magic-filled duel and the figure standing before us now is stark. There are no glowing crystals here, no portals to oblivion, no ancient prophecies or stolen artifacts. There is just an orc standing in the middle of nowhere, waiting. He is not a bandit. His weapon is sheathed. He stands over the bodies of two saber cats, apex predators that can tear a man in half, looking at them not with pride but with a vague sense of disappointment. When we approach, he doesn't shout threats. He speaks with a voice like gravel grinding together, calm and incredibly weary. "I am waiting," he says, "for a good death." This is the final hidden boss of our journey. He has no name, simply labelled Old Orc by the interface. He has no quest marker, no journal entry that guides you to him. He is a random encounter, a ghost of the road who can appear anywhere from the Reach to the Rift. But do not mistake his anonymity for weakness. This encounter is steeped in the deepest lore of the Orsimer. In Orcish culture, governed by the Code of Malakath, physical strength is everything. A chieftain rules only as long as he is the strongest. When he grows old and weak, he is expected to be challenged and killed by his son, ensuring the strength of the tribe. But what happens to the orcs who are not chieftains? What happens to the warriors who are too strong to die in battle, but too old to remain in the stronghold? They leave. They walk into the wilderness seeking a foe worthy of sending them to the ash pit. To die in bed, grey and feeble, is the ultimate shame. It means you are not strong enough to find a challenge. It means you failed Malakath. The old orc standing before us is a tragic figure. He has survived everything. He has killed bears, trolls, perhaps even dragons. He mentions that he has lived too long. His hair is grey, his skin scarred like an old leather map. He looks at the Dragonborn, clad in dragonplate, radiating the power of the voice, and he sees hope. He sees the end. "Will you give me a good death?" he asks. It is a request, not a demand. We have a choice. We can walk away. We can tell him to find his own death. If we do, he calls us a coward, his voice filled with contempt. But we are not cowards. And looking at him, we realize that walking away would be the cruelest thing we could do. We would be condemning him to more years of aimless wandering, of killing beasts that offer him no glory, of slowly withering away until he dies of a coughing fit in the rain. We draw our weapon. The air shifts. The old orc nods, a grim smile touching his tusks. "Good," he grunts. "Make it count." The fight begins. There is no music change, no grand fanfare. Just the ring of steel on steel. And immediately we realise this is not a pity kill. The old orc is a powerhouse. He scales with the player, often capping at level 60. He has the perks of a master warrior. High damage with two-handed weapons, heavy armour proficiency and a massive health pool. He hits like a runaway cart. His warhammer crashes into our shields, staggering us. He doesn't use magic. He doesn't summon minions. He doesn't turn invisible. He just swings and swings and swings. It is violence in its purest, most honest form. There is a profound respect in this duel. Unlike Tarandreth, who fought out of greed, or the dragon priests who fought out of domination, the old orc fights for honour. He is giving us everything he has, not because he wants to kill us, but because he wants to force us to kill him. He is demanding our best because anything less would be an insult to his life. The community often compares this encounter to the Ebony Warrior, another hidden boss who appears at level 80 seeking a final challenge. But the Ebony Warrior feels different. He wants to go to Sovngarde. He is seeking glory. The old orc feels more grounded, more sorrowful. He doesn't want glory, he just wants release. He wants the book to close. As the fight wears on, his breathing becomes ragged. His armour is dented. We land a critical hit, perhaps a finishing move where the camera spins to show the final strike. The old orc drops to his knees. He doesn't scream. He doesn't curse us. "A good death," he whispers, his voice fading, and then he collapses. The silence that follows is heavy. We stand over his body on the side of the road. The saber cats are still there. The wind still blows. We have won, but it doesn't feel like a victory. It feels like a service. We loot his body. He carries nothing of real value. Some heavy armor, a weapon, maybe a few gold coins. There is no unique artifact, no mask of the old orc. His treasure was his end. This encounter serves as the perfect thematic conclusion to our hunt for the hidden bosses of Skyrim. We have scoured the map, delving into the deepest holes and climbing the highest peaks. We have fought the supernatural, the ancient, and the divine. We have collected masks, claws, and paragons. We have become the ultimate predator of the province. But in the end, we are just like the old orc. We are wandering the roads, looking for the next red dot on the compass, looking for the next challenge. We are hoarding power in a world that is running out of things that can threaten us. The old orc is a mirror. He shows us what happens when the quest log is empty and the enemies are all dead. He shows us the final fate of the hero who survives. We drag his body off the road, laying him next to the beasts he slew. It feels respectful. We sheath our weapon. The sun has completely set now, and the moons are high and bright, illuminating the tundra in a wash of silver. The aurora borealis begins to flicker overhead, ribbons of green and purple dancing in the cold night air. The fire in the hearth has burned down to glowing embers, casting a soft, pulsing orange light across the room. The shadows in the corners are long and soft, and the tavern is quiet now. The bard has packed away his loot, the patrons have gone to their beds, and the innkeeper is wiping down the counter with a rhythmic, soothing motion. We have travelled a long way tonight, my friends. We started in the humid, brass-filled depths of Blackreach, waking a dragon from beneath an artificial sun. We walked the frozen, silent lakes of the forgotten Vale, dodging the twins of the ice. We braved the ash storms of Solstheim to dethrone the elemental priests, and we stood in the violet light of the Soul Cairn to challenge the Reaper himself. It has been a journey through the hidden history of Skyrim, a tour of the monsters that don't care about your main quest or your civil war. They were the guardians of the secrets that most people walk right past. But you didn't walk past, you stopped, you looked, and you conquered. Now the controller is heavy in your hands. Your eyes are heavy. The adrenaline of the fight with the old orc has faded into a deep, comfortable exhaustion. The world of Skyrim will be there tomorrow. The dragons will still circle the peaks, the Draugr will still shuffle in the dark, and the rivers will still run clear and cold. But for now, your watch is ended. Let the sounds of the night wash over you. The wind outside the window, the crackle of the dying fire, the slow, steady breathing of a hero at rest. You have earned this peace. Sweet dreams.